All right, everyone. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Destin City Council, January 3rd, 2022, our first meeting of 2022 to order. Up first, we do not have a pass here, so ma'am, if you'd like to lead us in the pledge.
Yes.
Agenda approval, and I want to make note that under item 5B, the applicant has withdrawn that application as of right at the moment. So that'll be the only change. So apart from 5B, is there any other changes before I look for a motion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor? Votes unanimous, so moved. All righty. We have a plethora of proclamations and recognitions tonight. And the first one up is item 1A, Employee of the Year 2021, City of Destin. Guess I'll go up and do it. All right. So our 2021 Employee of the Year, Matthew Pace, a well-deserving member of the Destin City staff. He takes care of all our cybersecurity amongst a plethora of other tasks that aren't under his job description. He always does it with a smile, with intensity, with thoroughness, and he's always available to help us and to protect the city and to protect our medias and our, from cyber attacks and stuff like that. Matthew, congratulations. Job well done. You deserve it, sir. You deserve it. All right, I got some more stuff here, right? Angela, are we going to do that next? All righty. What we're going to do now is recognize all the winners of the 37th Annual Destin Christmas Parade, Jingle Bell Rock. And when I call your name, if you have any representatives here for the organization or group, come on up here and we have a little plaques and stuff to hand out to you. First up is the Noel Award, a band award. It's sponsored by the Destin Rotary, and the winner is McGuire's Irish Pub Pipe Band. Is anybody here? Anybody here? The Elf Award, which is a children's service sponsor, is Jim Lowe of Fowl State Farm, and the winner was the Destin Middle School cheerleaders. Come on up, girls. Come on up and get a picture. I'm not that scary. You stay right there. You go ahead and hold it. Thank you, ladies. Congratulations. The next category was the Santa Helpers Award, which is a children's commercial. The sponsor was AJ Seafood and Oyster Bar, sorry about that. And the winner was the Rise Dance Team. Anyone here for the Rise Dance Team? Nobody here? Congratulations. They got to go to school tomorrow. I wish I didn't have to go to work tomorrow. All right, next up, Civic Club, Civic Award, and the sponsor is the Emerald Coast Knights of Columbus, and the winner is Crew of Bowlegs for their float. Anyone for the crew? I don't see. Nope. They got the coolest uniforms. Next up is the Chamber Award, commercial sector, and the sponsor, of course, is the Chamber of Commerce, and the winner this year was Destin Water Users. Way to go. Get a plaque. I knew I'd get a smile out at the end of that one. All right. Next up is the Angel Award, which is a religious award float. The sponsors, Mike Cheney, Allstate, and the winner is this year Shoreline Church. Has anybody? And they had to cancel just now. And lastly, the crowd pleaser, and the sponsor is the City of Destin itself. And the crowd pleaser this year is Legendary Marina and Yacht Club. Anybody here from Legendary? You do have one. There they go. Now you can see. Now you can see why they won the Crowd Pleaser Award. Really stinky fish. Thank you very much, gentlemen, ladies. And that's it for tonight, right? And we're going to do the Christmas decorations now. We're going to do Christmas decorations now?
Yes.
All right. And we got 4 awards for the best decorations for Christmas, best home, best organization, best business, and the best of the holiday. And I just want to thank everybody in this whole community that decorated for Christmas. Even though we had Miami-like weather, your decorating your homes did make it feel like Christmas, thankfully. Not complaining about the weather either. This year, best home is someone we all know, Chatham Morgan, 802 Don Lane, Destin, Florida. See what happens when you're not on city council? You have time to do fun stuff. Way to go!
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Come over here and get a picture. Turn around. Turn around. Thank you. Awesome. The award for the best decorated organization was the Palms of Destin. Is anyone here from the Palms? Oh yes, come on over.
We are so excited.
Well, you wouldn't have won if you didn't put the effort in, right?
Well,
So it's a fine reward.
Yes.
Pressure's on. Now you all have to repeat.
We're already feeling the pressure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. For the holiday decorations, the best business was King's Furniture and Mattress. Minutes of fame. And the best holiday overall decorations, the winner is David Stowe of 4117 Burning Tree Drive, Destin. Is David here? Nope. All right. All right, thank you very much. Winners? Well, I know that's going to be a tough act to follow, Jennifer, but would you like to come up here and give us an update from the Okaloosa County Tourist Development?
Talk, okay. It's a tough year so far. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Jennifer Adams with Okaloosa County Tourist Development Council, but I like to say Destin, Fort Walton Beach, Florida. It always rings off better. Thank you for having me here today. I'm going to give you a brief update on tourism for the last calendar year. First, I want to show you, this is my entire team, so we do more than just marketing. We have the marketing and operations team, we have visitor information and services team, we have our coastal resource team. So this year, we grew Alex's team. I actually have 4 marine biologists on staff now, and it's important so that they're out and about. Yes, we still work with our coastal engineers, but when there's something, they're right on it, and we're working on it. And I think it's important because none of my other colleagues has the ability to just, I can say, get out there. Now, of course, they love their job because they get out there and they sink stuff and, and they fish and all that. But it's important to know that that's a new resource that I've added this year. We obviously have the convention center team, the destination stewardship team, which I'll talk about a little bit more, and then the film commission. But let's get right at it. So these are some pretty big numbers. We were up almost 74% in collections this past year. It's huge. And for a while, I didn't tell anybody because I said, okay, is this really sustainable? And then I thought, okay, well, but we're up 41% over 19. So even with the pandemic, we can do it. The most important thing here is that it's not about me. I don't sell anything. I just promote. So it's up to our lodging partners to understand that I can bring the people here that will spend the money, but they need to set and maintain their rates, which means that they need to maintain and even elevate their services. But that's not something I can say one-on-one. That's something that we as a community have to all believe that we can do so we can maintain that level. And it's very humbling. I was in a meeting, I sit on the Destination Council for U.S. Travel, and I was sitting in the meeting before the holidays, and I'm Destin, Florida. I'm next to Philadelphia, Minneapolis, and San Francisco. Minneapolis, their highest level of occupancy for the year was 35%. It's stunning when you're in such a major metro and a big city has not been able to bounce back. So what do these pay for? Here's what it is: public safety, beach restoration, capital projects, cleaning of the parks, and maintenance of the parks. So this is what those tourist development tax dollars pay for. But don't forget that we also have the sales tax. Look at the combined sales tax that we have, even the half-cent sales tax and the gas tax. Those numbers are going up as well, which also support other capital projects. But here's most important. So our objective this year, rather than just to worry about how much tourist development tax dollars we were collecting, I wanted to increase and influence the spend. So how much do visitors spend while they're here, and sort of get off that typical, oh, what's your TDD number, and wait for it every month. So our objective was a 10% increase, which would have been $552 million increase into the community. We were at 736. So it was 30% over our goal, which means that we can influence the spend. And some of the programs you'll see that we put in actually ask people to spend more and do more. This 30% over a goal is $184 million more, and this does not include lodging. These are restaurants and charter captains. These are shops and all the other activities that we have. And this is based on just the Visa card alone, not any other card. We use VisaView data and Arrivalist. So these numbers could be a tad low, but it's the spend that I'm going for. How much more will they spend while they're in here after they've arrived? Okay, so who are we talking to? We're talking to the millennial moms, older millennials on the higher end with older kids. They want to get out. They want to be outside with their children because this is what's happening. If you have not seen this statistic before, you should be shocked. And if you've seen it more than once, you still should be shocked. More than 50% of children, of our nation's children, spend less time outdoors than prison inmates. And what's even more shocking is 49% of their parents don't know how to play with their kids. I mean, think about that. And our millennial moms are worried because even before COVID, their kids, this statistic rang true. They're on their devices, they're not outside, they're not social. And we're going after moms who want to make sure that their children have a life. So what did we do? We took our ad campaign and we hit them where we knew we would hit them. The original campaign on this ad said, enroll your kids in disorganized sports. This one says, because childhood isn't canceled. And we went right at them. And we encouraged them to make sure that their kids had a childhood.
Say that quote again.
Childhood, because childhood isn't canceled. And so this was the leader of our campaign. And it spoke volumes because moms who already knew that they had a problem, especially the moms that we were speaking to in the key markets, did not embrace the canceled culture. So where are they? These are our key markets. You know, they haven't really changed. These are our top 10 markets. But every year we go through our analysis and our research and we look at our data, and they may shuffle a little bit. Last year it was Atlanta, Dallas, Nashville, and St. Louis. Well, St. Louis and Nashville, their spending increase is high. We saw that the opportunity in Cincinnati and Indianapolis did, so we bumped them up. But we don't just say, oh, 1 year we're just going to do that, and then, oh, it didn't. They're all in our key markets. All 10 of these have been for a while, but they do, you know, and then we have to figure out how much spend we have. We can't weight the media spend the same in every market. That's not how it works. But if you look at one of our objectives of increasing visitor spend by 10%, you can see how we did. Atlanta increased. Now we have more people from Atlanta. They spend the least. And you can see other markets like Washington that spend more, but we have less people coming. Overall, we moved the needle, what does it say, 9.6? So we tried to get up over the 10. We know we can do it, and all of that is based on the marketing programs that we have. How do we reach them? Of my $22.5 million budget, I spend about $7.5 million, $7.4 million on media. That's up. Pre-COVID, it was $5 million, but then we were watching the influence of broadcast, and broadcast has a huge influence now, whether it's traditional cable or streaming, particularly since the pandemic. We've seen that broadcast has brought more people to and more recognition to us. So we're dumping a lot of money into broadcast. We still have digital and social, not so much print. Print is falling off the wayside right now. Each year we look at it a little bit differently. But so what does this do? For my $7.4 million spend, for every dollar we spend in advertising in our key markets, $7.60 additionally comes back into the market. So that's a pretty good return right now. I'd like to get that number up higher, but it's the first time we've looked at that metric, and we'll continue to look at it. So where do we drive people? When they see our advertising, we drive them to destinfwb.com. This is our website. It's the receptor for everything that we do, particularly the media. The past year through COVID, we've created the Little Adventure platform, and you can see it right there on right front and center when you come to the website. And you're going to say, okay, so what is a Little Adventure? Well,
what's a little adventure?
Well, a little adventure is where you go somewhere. A little adventure can turn into something big and fun. Going to places and exploring. Going to hike for a ghost town. Hiking and paddleboarding are good adventures. Yeah, it's fun. You go play and you do all kinds of stuff. Like today. Like exactly like today.
these are the kids that spend less time outside than prison inmates. So we went a little bit different. Yeah, we have beach and water, but we went right to the kid and the family. So also on the website, we just made it really easy. A mom can go to the website, she can go through a filter, she can say, oh, my kids are from 3 and 6, I want to do a 2-hour adventure, I want to spend this money. And then when she gets the adventure, she would say, oh, geez, but I don't know, maybe my kids won't like it. So we added an online chat, and we hired local moms to man the online chat. So a visitor actually was talking to a local mom who, by the way, went on these adventures so that they could endorse them or not endorse them, and we could make sure they were right. One of the biggest things we added was the kid review, because at the end of the chat, it's usually like, yeah, but is my kid gonna like it? Well,
That was my We caught pufferfish.
That was fun. That was really fun.
Yeah. 60?
60 pounds?
Yeah, 60 pounds.
Okay.
Slimy.
Yeah.
I was happy that I got the pufferfish. My dad would be really proud. You put a piece of bait on the hook, and then you cast it, and then you let it go until at the end of the rod starts like tucking and curving. That's whenever you know a fish is on it. Fishing takes patience. On your first try, you might not get one, you might will. Nothing!
I'd say equal amount.
Yeah, because we're sisters.
I am glad to be your sister. And then around. That's our handshake.
I want to do
oh, okay. These were unscripted. And they capture everything that we needed for them to capture. So for every time we went out and we did an adventure, we just asked kids what they thought. And so moms and kids can relate to those. Again, we've thought for so many years our product is just the beach, and it's not. It's a main anchor, but there's so much more. All right, so we all know that a couple years ago we did a Destination Next study, and our 3 challenges were mobility, accessibility, and the friendliness gap, or lack of Southern hospitality. So we decided that this year, we've done some things with capital projects, with the connector, that's gonna be mobility, with the buying of the beachfront property, that's accessibility. So everything that we're doing is trying to hit one of those, but we hadn't really tackled the friendliness gap. And so we just decided to go to Crystal Beach and just be nice, And so we put some golf carts out there. There was no cost, no schedule. We just drove around. We had 4 to 6 golf carts, and we just went by and said, hey, do you guys want to ride to the beach? I mean, the guy, you're lugging 6 kids, you're pulling things. Let's just be nice. And then at the same time, you know what? It's hot. You want a popsicle? And at the end of your popsicle, check to see if you want a little adventure. It wasn't hard or difficult. It was the easy button, and it worked. Oh, let me go back. Yes, I do. I don't know why this one's not playing. But anyway, we videoed these guys. Can you play it for me? Okay, there you go. Okay, anyway, we just videoed, we captured on video, and people were just like, this is so cool. Like, there was just all of a sudden someone came up and there was a golf cart. So what did it do? Okay, so we focused on Atlanta, and we went back to our Atlanta guests. This year we targeted Atlanta visitors in Crystal Beach, and we went back to them and we asked them if they heard of Little Adventures. And 82%, we asked them this in June, and we asked them this in October. In June, 60% of people from Atlanta heard about Little Adventures. In the fall, 82% heard of Little Adventures. 91% of them said they experienced something new this summer. And 83% had an improved opinion over our destination versus 56% in June. That's pretty good. Then we asked the bigger question, we asked other visitors, what did you think of Little Adventures? 87% went to our website, and 82% said that they took a little adventure. Great. And so what did that yield? $190 million worth of extra growth into the community this summer. So this is really what we're doing. Now, so did we meet our $200, $190 growth in spend? Did we meet our $200 growth? No. But for Atlanta, we went from 164 to 190, which is a 15% increase. So we know we can do it. And what we learned was, well, why do we just have to focus on Atlanta? Why can't we just do this to all of our visitors and send the messaging to them that when they're here in Destin, Fort Walton Beach, yes, they can enjoy the beaches, but there also are other things that they can enjoy, which goes directly back into our community. Okay, so destination stewardship, we all know about destination stewardship. This is really part of product development. You know, we started with product development years ago with Lionfish. It started as a, eco program, and then we started telling our story. People wanted to come and go with Alex, and then we got coverage, and then we have a tournament. Now we have people that coming to their vacation just to go, spear the lionfish. They come. So anyway, so we took product development, and we started with our adventure packs. Last year, we paired water-based adventures with restaurants after COVID. They created their product together. The TDC paid down half of the cost to the businesses, where the cost for the consumer was actually a little bit lower price to get people to try adventures, but nobody lost any money, and we sold out. So we want to do this again. Now our partners are more comfortable with it. Then we took the idea of an adventure and we introduced the Wayfinder Network. If you remember, this used to be a little red shed. It's not little, it's white, it's real, it's on Crystal Beach. It was up for about 3 months this summer. These are our guides and our scouts. And we just went out and signed kids up, and we did 4 different events. We taught people how to get on, kids how to get on surfboards. We did stargazing, we did pinfish patrol, we did sea creatures, and we hired local guides to do it. So we contributed back into the economy, and it was just wonderful. This is what we heard for 3 months during the summer. And you could tell that we reached a lot of people. We had 120 families booked little adventures. We had over 350 kids. It's not a lot. We got out late. We didn't start till July. But if you went down to the outpost, you really saw that it came to life. And I know that, Teresa, you came in, and you all, the city of Destin was great. We didn't know if it would work. It's a pilot program, and we should have more of these all throughout the beaches and the county so that we can continue to bring our culture to families that visit us and then reinvest back into our community.
I want to insert something as the TDC rep for our city. The shed that was there, the little adventure shack, was beautiful, well painted, well dressed up, and it had all these little bins that had all the little tools these kids need, from shovels to fins to masks, whatever the adventure was. And when I went down to witness these 3 qualified marine biologists that are teaching these kids in the sand how they're going to stand on the paddleboard, then they get them out into the water. And while they're out there on the water, I'm asking the parents how they, what they think about it. And they said, we didn't know anything about this. We'd been on the beach for 3 days, and some people came up to us. They were the scouts that are paid to go and ask people, hey, how long are you here for? What have you been doing? And the parents, all 3, Kentucky, Kansas, and Michigan, all 6 parents were all like, we were just on the beach and they came up and told us about this. So yesterday we did the pinfish, the kids learned how to fish. And today we're doing the paddleboarding. Well, this is awesome. And I said, so when you go back home, they're like, we've already been putting it out on Facebook. Y'all need to do this when you get here. So this is going to probably explode because this 3-month pilot was so successful and so well enjoyed. And like she said, it sold out. They filled as fast as people figured it out. So well done.
And so in order for us to continue with these pilot programs and expand, I mean, we need people to get engaged. We had 60 partners this summer participate with us, but I know there are more, and I know that a lot of you know people that we should be talking to. And the other thing is it starts with everybody talking Little Adventures. You need to talk Little Adventures with your staff, with your frontline people, around your kitchen table, at the grocery store. If the more that we can talk about it and the more that we can work together to get involved, just like the partnership that we did at Crystal Beach. I think that there were a couple days, Webb, that we didn't think in Lance we were going to get that outpost down into the beach. I mean, none of us knew what it would end up doing and what it would be. And now we're going to refine it again and continue to work on it, and as long as there's a partnership with you all. So, we had a banner year. I'm mindful of the dollars that came in and how we spend them moving forward, and how we be sure we continue to grow our programs, but also put money into our reserves. I think it's important that we don't forget that. And with that said, I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody has. And Mr. Merrill.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. I'll just start, Mr. Braden, and we'll just work our way down. If you have any questions for Jennifer, well, let's just take it one council person at a time, give everybody a shot, and then if anybody in the audience has a question for Jennifer, I think we even take an audience question or two. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for being here, and thanks for all your help. One question on the survey you did down at Crystal Beach. How many would you say you surveyed?
We survey, every time we do a benchmark study, we survey 894 people. The survey from Atlanta, we do it 2 or 3 times a year in the feeder market, so we have consistency. I think the Atlanta was somewhere between 500 and 600. So we did one for a benchmark with the feeder, all the markets together, and then we isolated Atlanta because that program, in our mind, we were targeting the Atlanta visitor. But we don't need to. We just need to put programs like this in place that encourage anybody who comes in to do a little adventure and, to invest in the community.
Thank you. Do you do the little adventure, this program over on Okaloosa Island as well?
We have not done any of this on Okaloosa Island yet. All of this this year was centric to the adventure packs were primarily in the harbor. We did do a couple at the Gulfarium and the boardwalk, but all of the wayfinding was on Crystal Beach. I have 2 more locations, one actually at Access 3 or 4 on Okaloosa Island and Beasley Park, if we can make it happen. But I want to make this one work to the best of its ability before we expand.
Okay, thanks. I got one more question.
Yeah.
What household income do you target and why?
So people ask me that, and if I had to really say what I'm targeting, it's probably 150 to 175, 180, but I really don't. I'm looking for the millennial mom that wants to make childhood an adventure again and have vacations and have memories with their children. So I haven't been focusing on the household income or the specific demographic or how many people are in their car when they drive here. I know with my arrivalist data what they do when they get here because we're tracking them as soon as they come over the county line. And so but I would say, if I'm being honest, it'd probably be between 150 and 180 in those key markets.
Would there be a reason why you're targeting that, or do you just, the $7.4 million on advertisement, do you spend that at just like Atlanta, Dallas?
I spend it in those 10 markets. And the majority of it is broadcast and digital. And then there's social media is ramping up, but it's not really a high spend. But I know that I know that the household income and that demographic live in those markets. But I just have been pulling away from saying, oh, I'm only going to do this because that might be limiting me a little bit. It's really about my messaging and where and when I'm hitting them with the message.
Thank you so much.
Because I can track them when they're here. You know what I mean? Like I know we know. We've got trackers on the harbor and on the water, so we know where, once they cross the county line, we know where they came from and what their behaviors and what they're doing.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Hey Jennifer, this is my third time watching the
Congratulations.
presentation, and I get excited every time.
Thank you.
I think from Alex, Jessica, Mike. I mean, it's a phenomenal team. I've been on the back of the truck with them. I've been underwater with them. They're just the best. They're absolutely
Right.
amazing. So I think that's a testament to your leadership. So I want to thank you on
Thank
that.
you.
I love your ideas. I love not targeting the money, but targeting the culture. So I just want to appreciate that, and that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. I don't really have any questions. I just want to thank you all for the job you're doing. I've been watching the TDC in operation since it was first created, and your innovative ideas and your get the job done is really refreshing, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. I appreciate the partnerships.
Hey Jennifer, thanks. Great job. I'll echo everybody, especially on the marketing side. Who's the research firm for the TDD?
So through our agency, the research firm is No Luggage. Our agency works as a hub and spoke. There's a main agency, and then they have 3 different providers that do media, public relations, and research.
Okay, and then most of my questions, I think the staff hopefully reached out to you earlier today, are going to be about beach nourishment. Okay, so how much is in the beach nourishment reserves right now?
Just under 17 million.
Okay,
Our goal each year for the TDC, we vote on at least putting at least a $500,000. 3 years ago when I came in, I think we had maybe 11. But if we at least do a $500,000, and if we have cash carry forward that's appropriate, we put it in there. So our goal is to get to 20 million.
so
think
that's
in the
not
next
tied
2
to
years.
the penny that was implemented
The
for that
TDC,
purpose?
the TDC, it's not tied to a penny. It is tied to a penny, Jim.
Yes, it
It's
is.
tied to the second penny.
Yeah.
But in our ordinance, the TDC each year has the ability to make recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners. And so a few years ago, we decided to increase that from 11 million to 20 million. Obviously, and then that's not including the East Pass Reserve.
Yeah, I guess I need to look at your plan, because the way the ordinance is supposed to read is if it's, the penny's dedicated to it when it's enacted, you can't change more than 10% of that as long as it's on the beach management plan for the state. So I'll go back and look at that ordinance.
I can have Alex give you a call on that, Jim.
Yeah, okay, because that's my next line of questioning, I guess. We got the beach nourishment project in '07, right? And it's been 14 years. Where are we on, because I look at Panama City beaches, nice deep beaches that get renourished regularly. They've been renourished, I think, 3 times since our beaches were nourished. So where are we on the survey of our beach? And I understand there's 3, and people, this is a little bit inside baseball, there's 3 critically eroded beaches by the state's standard within Okaloosa County. One's out on Okaloosa Island, it's actually the Air Force property, and then there's 2 in Destin. One which opted out of beach nourishment, as a couple of us know very well, but one that opted in for beach nourishment. So I'm really focused on the one that has already signed the maintenance agreements, the long-term agreements, and said, yes, we're willing to do this in Crystal Beach, since that's where we're having our little adventures. Where are we on partnering with Bay County the next time they do one, or where are we? It's been 14 years, and our beaches are narrow in Crystal Beach, and Bay Counties are nice and wide and deep.
I have no partnerships with Bay County for now. Let me say this. We are constantly monitoring and surveying the beaches. We have the New Shore Beach Restoration Project that's going on now, and the sand fencing. We're seeking an additional part of the grant for the sand fencing to come down to James Lee. And then Alex just told me today that it's called, with the Army Corps of Engineers, what they're doing in Panama City is through their chief agreement. And so we are working on ours with that so that we can do an extended project. He is seeking a project on Okaloosa Island in the critically eroded areas in the next year. We're working on that. The last project we did was we dredged East Pass 2 years ago and put sand out over by Jetty East out there, and then that quickly went away with the weather. So, but we are constantly monitoring and putting dollars into reserve for future projects.
Yeah, I guess my question is more specific on when's the last time, I think it was 2 years ago, may have been last year, that we surveyed the erosion control line for the project on the east end of Destin?
I think it was a few years ago. You're asking,
Okay.
I have limited knowledge. I'm not the marine,
Okay,
but I
okay.
will get back to you, though. I will
Okay,
be sure
I
that
appreciate
Alex,
that.
I think if you have these questions, please come on in and meet with the team, and let's get them answered for you, and
Yeah.
I'll certainly be there. I do know, in speaking to him today, the big 15-mile project they're doing in Panama City is not funded by the Tourist Development Council. That's the Army Corps.
Not all of it.
Okay.
It's a federal project,
Right.
number one, which is different than ours. Ours was a state project.
Right.
So they automatically get it. We don't. But our beaches need sand. And it's always, I've found it interesting, the beaches that need the sand, identified by the state, identified by the county as critically eroded, who has signed up to be in a beach nourishment project is not getting the sand, but everybody else who hasn't signed up for a beach nourishment project because of property right concerns and things are getting sand. And so we need to get that fixed. We're raising the money, and I will, the vast majority, not vast majority, a strong amount of that money coming into that beach nourishment penny is coming out of Crystal Beach, so they would like to see their beaches renourished.
Right, and I think once we complete the whole beach access way, that allows us to get more money from DEP for state reimbursement as well. So so I think we talked about that, which was one of the reasons why we wanted to buy some beachfront property, particularly in Crystal Beach, for that match. Because right now, our match is very low.
Yeah.
We don't have the appropriate access ways, that we need. But I would say I'm not skirting your issue. I am just not, I am not Alex. So please come on in, and we'll be more than happy to sit down with you and then report back to you all.
Yeah. Or have Alex meet with I'll meet with him, but I'm going to have the same questions, because actually what people don't know is all that beach in Crystal Beach is public beach, seaward of the ECA.
Right.
And so people think, oh, there's private property and there's signs on beaches. That is all public beach. Now, some places it's only about 14 feet deep because we haven't renourished it, but it's all public beach. So I look forward to talking with Alex,
Okay.
and I look forward to us getting a project in the next couple of years.
Yeah. And I would I'll be in that meeting as well, so I
Okay.
can be sure that
And
I'm,
the reason I ask about Bay County is the biggest cost, as everybody knows in any construction project, is the deployment cost.
Yeah.
So if they're right there in Panama City Beach, it's real easy for that dredge to come over here and take care of little.
and we
little old
typically
Destin.
we do try to piggyback. A couple of years, we were kicked off the piggyback list, and so, but we do try to.
Yeah, that doesn't always work out. Right. You watch them go by.
New ways.
That's what took so long. East Pass was supposed to be dredged 4 years ago.
Right.
And we,
In 17, it was supposed to be,
17.
17.
And so they kept pulling, they just kick us to the curb because they, if they got a ship's channel or a navigable waterway, then we're low man on the totem pole. So.
Right.
Thanks again for coming, Jennifer. It's always good for you to give the full report instead of me trying to give them pieces at my report. But as we discussed, from now on, at the end of the month, when we have our monthly meeting, I will bring to the first meeting to the council the updates of what we've got going on as well. And then we'll always, encourage you to come in at least every quarter.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you
give
for
us
the
an
opportunity.
update. And you and I talked about that wayfinding access that you have, something I was going to bring up on my name, but I also wanted to let you help me help them understand. You have the capability maybe to add in that wayfinding when they come across the bridge to put in the flags of what the beach flag codes are, so that people coming in, when they see the little thing pop up on their phone, hey, this is what this means, we can help some of the tourists that come here that really have no idea what a red flag or a yellow flag really means.
Right.
And we're having more and more people complain to us, how can we make the tourists understand red flags means don't get in the water, period. So I'm glad that we're going to be able to work with that on yours.
Right, what I'd like to do is take the flag, and Webb and Catherine and I started talking about this a year or so ago, is take the existing graphics of the flags, we'll put them into a little adventure type of mode so everything goes together, and figure out, that you're referring to this system in Walton County that, I was part of implementing in 2010, and we need to get back into something like that. So we'll all work together, and the TDC will make that look a little bit graphically more integrated, and then put some ideas on the table. And we need to do it. We cannot put it in the visitor guide. We're just about on press on the visitor guide, but we certainly can have a better presence on the website and through some push notifications.
Great. And then the other thing I wanted to point out, when you were talking about the little adventures, some of the partners that we have, that weren't in your quick update, I mean, we have the guys out there on Okaloosa Pier that literally, tell them what he does with basically catching and cooking.
So we went to the pier and we said, look, you've got to do an adventure pack. There's all these people that are coming in and no one's interacting with them. So the pier and anglers, they'd come out, they'd teach them how to the kids how to fish. They'd either clean the fish for them, or they would, or they would clean the fish, and then they would go up to anglers, and they would also, while they were eating, they would watch fish. They would learn about different fish. So we did that. We did that there in the Gulfarium. They were, I would say people were resistant because we were going into summertime, and they said, we can't staff what we have. I said, but create something new, create one thing new. So like the Gulfarium, they wanted to do something with penguins. So after hours, they did a penguin walk. So that it was closed, but they had more staff, and then you had your own exclusive little penguin walk, and then you went over to AJ Al's and you had a burger. And so they created their own product. And that's similar to what we were doing with lionfish, with the artificial reef, with the turtle patrol, with the fads. And so we just said, you guys have the ability to create your own. And so I need to find the people that want to help create their own. We'll market and promote it for everybody. I just need to know who the people are so we can continue to grow.
Well, thank you, and that's why I wanted you to say that, so that it goes out to the public that are watching online, because there's a lot of our businesses that don't realize that there's an opportunity that they could bring more business to their business, and it would be on a time that they wouldn't have to worry about staff. They could figure out what works for them. So thank you for all the hard work. It's been awesome being your teammate.
Thank you.
I love
I
what we're
appreciate
doing, and I'm happy that
All
you're
the
here.
public has to do is call us. If they give us a call, even if they don't know if they can do it, but they know somebody else, just give us a call. That's the one thing that we ask.
Jennifer, I'm glad you're here. It's because, and all of us have been here for a while, we've seen previous directions and efforts and stuff coming out of the Tourist Development Council, and since you've come on board here, you've changed the direction of the Tourist Development Council and have recognized some really important needs. And one of the ones that didn't talk about as much was the perception of how our brand, the Destin Fort Walton Beach brand, was being damaged by a lack of hospitality. And, I think folks in the South have always kind of prided themselves on Southern hospitality. But over time, we've kind of gotten away from that. And I really appreciate the fact that that's a new focus, is not only educating people about coming here and enjoying our natural resources and enhancing, business opportunities for the people that do make a living here, but you're also trying to change the culture of the people that are locals. And I really appreciate that, because I've seen that myself. And so, it doesn't help to bring folks here, even encourage them to enjoy our great outdoors, if the people around them that they're visiting aren't nice. And so I think that's really key. And this is on TV, and our council's hearing it, and the people in the audience. And I just kind of wanted to highlight the fact that you're also focusing on encouraging the folks that live here to embrace the tourism and make their experience better. And when you do that, and you're nice to people, you end up kind of liking this place to live in it even better.
Well, it's interesting, Mayor Jarvis, because a few years ago when we asked that benchmark group, the 894, what they thought about Destin Fort Walton Beach, all they said was beach and discount and things like that. When we just did another one, they said family-friendly and self-paced. I'll take self-paced over beach or local or family-friendly and self-paced. We're going in the right direction. And they didn't just say beach. family-friendly and self-paced.
Yeah, so you're changing the culture, and I appreciate that a lot.
And
I wanted to highlight that so they knew this wasn't about just tourist tax dollars and gas tax money and our, $20 million of beach buyback that's being funded by this and our crosstown connector. It goes way beyond money because most of us live here because we like it here.
Right.
And and so we need to appreciate that a little bit more. And when the people come here, they're going to like the fact that we like it.
Well,
here
and
as
we're learning too, when I can partner with a local paddleboard shop and they're out on the beach, and who other, we needed to do a better job last year of vetting the local businesses so we can have them be part. It was a pilot, but I think we're going to get better at that. From golf carts to popsicles to paddleboards to fishing to stargazing. I mean, we have all the talent that we need here.
Yeah.
We just need to source it better.
And two other things. One is, and I'm saying this publicly, is that our Jennifer and her team is recruiting businesses to participate in this project. Not just in Crystal Beach, but throughout Okaloosa County, including in our Destin footprint. So all your friends, family, some of us are in the restaurant business, some of us fish for a living, that kind of stuff. I just want to kind of reiterate that you are looking for more participants in the Little Adventure deal. And lastly, the inconsistency, you were talking about the flags. Part of it is we have an inconsistency with Destin Fire and our public safety guys on the beach, lifeguards, and then versus Walton County and Bay County. So I think that needs to be something that we really focus on. We'll work with the fire district stuff is get a consistent flag system, a consistent posting of the flags, because some of the problems we've had is the flags weren't up.
Right. Well, we have our annual meeting with all of public safety that receive funding from me coming up in February, so I'll be sure to address it again with the group. We've started to really get to work well together over the past couple of years, so I'll bring that up.
Mr. King.
Jennifer, thanks for being here. Thanks for all your hard work. I share the sentiment of everybody else that's spoken before me. I'm curious about I was kind of curious about what Rodney had asked was as far as the average household income, and you answered that for me, but I would like to follow up and I'd like to come and meet with you guys as well, like Jim was saying. Had a few other questions, but is there any way to distinguish what COVID has done for these numbers, or maybe that's a silly question, or it seems like that would be my question, is I'm not doubting what's going on. Clearly the numbers are great, but is there any way to distinguish between what happened 3 years ago and what's happening this year based on COVID?
Well, see, I mean, really, so I had a discussion with my team today because we're just about to pull trigger on $7.5 million of media, and we need to watch what's going on everywhere else, because over the past year, while we were quietly still open and people were coming to us, now we might be going back into shutdowns. Ken and I were just talking about this again. We need to continue to position ourselves, not as we're wide open, everybody come, but within this whole brand again. Occupancy and average daily rate are still up. It's January. So we know that we have the product for it. We have to maintain that level of service for it. Have we surveyed COVID? No, but I do know, we're watching every day, the Northeast is starting to shut down their schools again. And so I would suspect that, end of January through March, we're going to see some 6-week bookings again, which is what we had a lot of last year and through COVID. We have not gone out and surveyed the impact of COVID on our guests. We talked about it before, but quite frankly, we were healthy enough that I didn't feel like I had to go back and say, hey, what's going on and is it negative and all that. We could. It's something the TDC could talk about if we felt like we needed to get a better handle on that. I'm not sure right now we do, but something that I will ask again at the next TDC meeting and we can talk about it.
Well, let me interject real quick. I did talk to a customer that was getting food at one of the restaurants to go. And I asked him, I was like, oh, y'all are on vacation? He goes, no, my kids are back at school, but they're virtual. So we're going to virtual here, not up in the north. So I think that's what it is.
And I just spent a week in Boston. I'm okay with showing my vaccine card to get in, but after a couple times, we have a different dynamic here. So would we ever, so those are the things that we talk about, are what would be. There's no indication that anything would change from what my discussions with commissioners. There's a commission meeting tomorrow.
This is all I've got, but doesn't it seem like if we're gonna, I know this isn't a workshop, but if we're y'all are fixing to pull the trigger on $7.5 million in advertising, it seems like, everybody's coming here. I don't know if you're in Destin every single day, but it's outrageous, Seems like this would be a great time to focus in on
Use the word awesome.
Yeah, oh, no. I've got a friend in the charter business who said I could have run 4 days a week for the last, since Labor Day. Yeah, I get, right. But if we're gonna do that, doesn't it seem like, and I'm no professional at tourist development, but.
So the people that are coming over the past year, based on those numbers that I showed you, are the people that we want to come because they're gonna spend money. Whereas a few years ago, they're just coming. So that 15% for Atlanta is big when they've historically been, either they're the same people and they've decided to spend money, or we're getting new people from those markets. So that's what we test with the research before we create our media plan. We are seeking to reach that millennial mom that will come here because she wants to give her children adventures, and she will spend the money without having to discount. Remember the word discount, we don't use that word anymore. So we're saying the same thing, I'm just saying in a different way. I would be more than happy to go through more in depth. In fact, next week, and I'll send to Catherine and Webb, our media team is going to be doing a more in-depth with all the different innuendos as to how we choose our media plan, but I'd be more than happy to sit down with you. I'm trying to erase all the typical, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm trying to erase demographics and carloads and, monthly tourist development tax dollars, erase that and approach it in a different way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jennifer, for coming. Echo what everybody said. I'm not sure if this is what Mr. King was getting to about the money and COVID, but, a lot of money has been given out to individuals and families from the federal government, and if they're choosing to spend that money in Destin, they're still spending it here. So, right. And could that change next year because they don't get subsidies and stuff? Maybe, but I apologize if I missed it. Are we just building on what you did last year, just tweaking, making better, or is there a new 2022 plan or a new area that you're targeting, not Atlanta? Are we going somewhere else this year, or is it still Atlanta?
Of the 10 top 4 this year will be Atlanta, Dallas, Cincinnati, and Indianapolis, because we've identified that Cincinnati and Indianapolis have more opportunity to come here and spend. So there's a chart that I didn't have in here that Chicago, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, they actually had more of an increase of water-based adventures this past year than the other markets. Of the top 10 markets, 8 of the 10 spent more time on the water, not Atlanta. They just want to go to the beach. But Cincinnati and Indianapolis and Chicago were the top 3 in water spent. So we look at things like that as to how we can increase. This next campaign that we're doing, I didn't have it in here. It's called the Me I Met. It'll come out and we'll debut it in a couple weeks. Is just the next level of little adventures. Most of what you saw there's no reason to reinvent the brand anymore. The Destin Fort Walton Beach brand is strong. We're not going to just slap Crestview, Niceville, blah, blah, blah under it. The goal is to get people to Destin Fort Walton Beach, introduce little adventures all over the county, and there's we test it all the time, and it's strong and it's true. There's no need to keep putting more thought or money into it. If it starts to crumble, we'll see it and we'll refine it with our messaging.
Thank you. The beach acquisition parcels that we have and that we're continuing to work on, are we working this coming season together to make sure it's utilized for not just the little adventures, or like that it's still an accessible parcel for
Oh,
the
yeah,
public and everybody to go onto?
Yeah, we have, drawings came out a couple weeks ago. I think we have the plan in place. And I think we're still also looking for other opportunities to purchase property.
Awesome.
So there's no question on that. I mean, we all work together, the city and the county on,
Great.
I would love to be able to keep the outpost there. People like it, they know it's there, we see it on social media. It's off the beach right now, don't go look at it. It's at the convention center, we're cleaning it up because it'll be back out in March.
The current beach nourishment program that's going on right now on the beaches, I see more, I've been to it in person and I've experienced it. Have you gotten any like issues in regards to spacing or people be able to get to the beach? I see some positive, I see some complaints. I mean, it's coming up in what, March? They're going to come out of the ground?
Yeah, we had some manta rays that got caught there that Alex had to go rescue. But no, pretty much everybody's been very positive about it. You can actually see, some of the accretion up there, and little bits of the dunes there. I think, originally it was going to be a bigger project, but we pared it down as a test. But no, we haven't. And we're going back out on Friday to look with our engineers to look at the progress. And they're reusable. When they come out, they'll be stored and they can be put back in.
Great. You mentioned about contacting. One of my questions is how, locals, businesses, individuals that want to partner. It's January.
Right.
I can only imagine organizations such as y'all's is planned for this coming season already over a year ago, probably.
Yeah,
So realistically, you have opportunities available for local businesses and whatever to continue partnering for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I would like to get everything done before mid-February so we can put the program together, and when spring break starts, we'll go and we'll lead the program. They can either email marketing@destinfwb.com or send it right to me, j.adams@destinfwb.com. I'd be more than happy to meet with anyone and talk with anybody. But again, if we just know who we need to talk to, we can take the ball from there.
Great. I'll just close with, again, everything that they've said, it's very true. Not all of us have young kids. I have 3 young kids, and, we travel. I try to travel often. First thing we're always doing is what can we do with our kids?
Right.
We go to the mountains in the summer. We've been to just North Carolina last week. It's what kind of activities
Right.
can we do with the family? Not just sit inside the rental for a week or, whatever. So it's amazing. And I almost want to say, like, how can I and other locals experience some of these activities for our young children, if that would be even helpful?
You absolutely can. Locals can, when we have those programs up, those are not just for
Okay.
visitors. In
'Cause then
fact,
we can talk about it, right?
Absolutely.
Even more. All right,
They're
great.
they're free. You can go, you'll
I
see
need
this.
things for my 3 kids to do in the summer, Jennifer. I work from home,
Well,
so
go to the website.
She'll
first.
interview them and they'll
summer
be the
camps are only
videos.
limited.
Well, next year, what we want to do is we're working on an online component, so we can send send it, not only go and talk to people, but they can go online and see when the pop-ups are scheduled and all that. Getting technology down there and we didn't have enough time. But I want to stress, these are not just for locals. All right, that's why we even had the mom panel go through some of these adventure packs and these pop-ups so they can experience. We have local guides, we have local people invested in our community that are doing this for the brand and for the greater good. So when we start up again, we don't discriminate.
Thank
So
you so
I want to
much.
see you up there.
Got one question, Rodney? You had one further question for Jennifer?
Yes, thanks. You said the spending was up 15% from, you said 150, 160, 170?
164 to the 183, 193, I'd have to go
Is
back,
that
but for Atlanta, it was up 15%.
Is that 150 or $160, is that a day or?
So we calculate the spend per cardholder per visit. So if I have a Visa card in my pocket and my husband has a Visa card, those are 2 different. And that's just Visa. So when you look at the spend for DC, which is like 220, and Atlanta was at 164, you can see who's spending money, who's not. It's just one metrics that we have. I'd like to add Amex, but they don't give us those dollars. But that's not lodging. That's, most people pay lodging before they even get here. There's a deposit and it's all transactional. So it's that swipe per spend per card holder. If I have 2 Visa cards and I'm using them, my debit card, that's how each one of them is calculated that way.
So
And
I
not
know a lot
cash.
of I know a lot of the properties are here, they rent from Saturday to Saturday. So you're saying that a mom spent $160 for the week on her card?
Yes, from Atlanta, from the Visa card. Well, now it's more, now it's 190. So they're using cash, they could be using Amex, but they're not dumping, they're not consistently spending the money. It's the way the Visa does it is per card holder, per stay, outside of the accommodations.
I'd like to know how they're doing. I just got back from Montana, Big Sky, skiing.
You didn't
We were
get by
skiing.
for $160?
Yeah, we were skiing for a week
I know.
and for Christmas, and I was out of pocket $180 before 8 a.m. every morning.
I know. You're right, but remember, if you look at Atlanta, they're coming down, they're going to the beach, they're not really going out more than maybe once, and that's been their trend. They weren't prompted to do anything else, which is why we wanted to get Atlanta from 164 to at least 200. Got to the 190. We can do it. We just need to do it better. We need to do it better and I ran out of time, quite frankly. I ran out of time this year.
Thank you.
All right, Jennifer, this has been awesome, and I'm going to look forward to you coming back quarterly, or at least 3 times, because this is educational for everyone, not just for the council, and we have a lot of decisions to make because we're using the monies to do capital projects and beach acquisition, stuff like this, and this helps us understand where that money's coming from, how it's getting here outside of the budgetary process. This has been educating. Do you have a question you'd like to ask Jennifer while you're here? Just come on up to the microphone and ask it, and then. Okay, go ahead.
Jennifer, great job. But my question is, you seem to think we've done much better this past year than in 20, but not quite as good as 19. That's basically what it comes down to.
We increased, our tourist development tax revenues increased 41% from 19, pre-pandemic. So if you take the pandemic out of it, we can definitely maintain that. We increased 74% for 2020, and prices were high, but people were paying it. But when I was saying, can we sustain this? Well, actually, we can. If we did 41% from 19, through 21, we can. But that's not up to me. I don't set rates. I don't sell. I just promote. So that's going to be everybody else believing that they don't have to go. My biggest fear is always we're going to go back to a 2012 rate structure when there's 18 different rate structures and you can pick one depending on what the market says. No, let's just stay where we need to be.
So you've painted a great future, and what I'm concerned about is that everyone predicted the price of gasoline would just skyrocket between now and April. And I was wondering if y'all have given that some thought and what can be done, if anything, to combat the damages that will cause. Because we have a driving market.
Well, but ADR and occupancy are still up, so it hasn't really, they're still driving here in the airport. I think that if we give them a good experience, they're happy, they've done something new, they're going to pay the price for it, is what I think. And that may be too basic, but that's where we're going to. We're trying to offer them a better experience. If a golf cart ride is going to give them a better experience, I wish the video had played and you could see how happy these two were because they got a golf ride and they didn't have to walk 3 blocks to the beach. If little things like that can make them remember us and choose us, they're going to drive and they're going to fly.
Anyone else have any questions for Jennifer from the audience? Seeing none, Jennifer, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy New Year, everyone.
Great job.
Thank you.
All righty then, that was cool. Up next, 1E, presentation by Leland, Vanderpool, Destin Garden Club, installation of Blue Star Byway marker on the library grounds.
It was a
Sir?
little quicker than I thought. I wasn't prepared to come up here yet. Good evening. I'm Lee Vanderpool from Destin Garden Club. We're proposing to install a Blue Star Byway marker on a 12-foot wide by 16-foot long, deep bit of property at the Destin Library. I've talked to Gwen Livingston about this. She's all for it. I've checked with your licensing or not licensing, your permit people. They said no permits are required, so we're good to go there. Mr. Burgess has said he can dig 2 holes for us to set a marker, if you all agree with that. The thing is, I set an arbitrary date of the end of May to get this done before Memorial Day. Well, I've had to change that because they pushed back the manufacturer time for the plaque, actual plaque. It has gone from 14 to 16 weeks. So we're talking probably April before we even get it. Then I have to build a stand for it and so forth. So I'm trying now to get an install date by the first part of June, and I'd like to have a dedication probably on the 20th of June. 20th of June is a pretty good date for me because it's 60 years ago on the 20th of June. I enlisted in the Air Force. And sorry. So anyway, we're asking that you approve us to put that marker in and to honor our veterans.
Can I make a motion to approve this?
Second.
There you go, you can. We already got a second. Are you sure you don't want to do it on the 22nd? Because on June 22nd of 1974, I enlisted in the Air Force.
Yeah, 1962 was a little, it beats that.
Yeah, you win. You win. You win. All right, well, we got a motion in a second. I think it's a wonderful idea. It looks like a beautiful plaque, and it'll really look good at our library, and so we'll assist you in any way. So let's go ahead and take this to a vote. Going to get your answer here in just a second.
Okay, thank you.
Vote is unanimous. So moved, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
All righty then. We're going to give everyone that got an earful from Jennifer and our presentation, stuff like that. So now we're up to our public comment. And what I'll do is I'll start at this end of the room. Anyone that would like to come up, 3 minutes. Keep your, when you get close to 3 minutes, I'll ask you nicely to wrap up your thoughts. And we got a lot of stuff still left on the thing. So you can speak on anything that's on the agenda or not on the agenda, you know, whatever that may be. We do have a public hearing, so any comments about the public hearing item, we have a public comment period for that. So just restrain yourself from speaking on the public hearing portion. But this is public comment time, so anyone would like to come up to the podium from this portion of the room? Don't rush to the podium all at once. Anyone over here towards this? Come on up, Parker.
Mayor, Council, Parker Destin, 730 Kelly Street. I had intended today to come and give a few comments about the townhome complex of 66 units that was on your agenda. It has been pulled. I'll withdraw any of those comments to some future point when we do have that hearing. So what I'll do is I'll tailor my comments to a general sort of reminder to have the council in its visioning session over the next few weeks try to remember to reprioritize TCMU. And what I mean by that is TCMU was probably created about 20, 25 years ago as the medium to high density district that was going to facilitate a whole lot of our long-term workforce that didn't live in the larger single-family residential areas in the rest of town. And it was predicated on this notion that we were going to have connectivity. A lot of that connectivity is likely perhaps not to ever occur. It was based on these ideas that we would cross the Gulf Power easement and connect some of these roads like Palm Street and what eventually will be the street that facilitates the Charles and others into Mattie Kelly or Twin Lakes, giving you then connectivity up to airports so you could go east-west. We all now know that even if you did build those things, you still have the problem with if you bring in over 1,000 units and 2,000 cars, there's not enough road infrastructure for all of that without traffic lights, and then you can have the larger one on trips, and it's going to be a challenge. I implore you guys to perhaps set a revisioning of the TCMU district. You need to look at your densities, you need to look and prioritize what will eventually be some sort of medium to high density growth that's going to occur in some of these vacant parcels, and prepare for it. Prioritize some lights on 98. Get ahead of this, because it's going to come down to you and it can bite you in the butt. And I don't want to be in the seat when, or any of you guys have to be in the seat when eventually something as big as the old-time pottery parcel comes before you guys and says, okay, we want 300, units, 600 cars, please say yes. And you're going to be sitting here with, the general folks from the public with pitchforks and torches ready to come after you, because, the temperature is they're not keen on it. So reprioritize TCMU. You need to take a look at the densities, and moreover, if you haven't already, somebody needs to designate the mayor to go out and try to reach out to some of these folks at Old Time Pottery, so that we can jumpstart the conversation about how can that get into the public hands, how can that become a new center for our youth to be able to utilize everything from community center activities and facilities to sports complex. It can all happen, but it needs to happen sooner than later, because this is what's coming down the road. Everybody's seen that the market is paying stupid numbers for everything in the real estate world, and it's forcing the hand of developers to say the only way that I can squeeze a profit out of these outrageous prices is to cram as much density as I can. So these things are coming your way. You just got to get ahead of it. Anyways, thank you for your time and your attention, and Happy New Year, and welcome to all the new folks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? I want to remind everyone that at the very end of tonight's meeting, you will have another opportunity for public comment before we adjourn the meeting. Seeing no other folks, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment period at this point, and we'll step right into the consent agenda, and I'll entertain a motion. Have a motion, I have a second. Let's go ahead and take a vote. Vote is unanimous, so moved. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. At this time, I'd like to invite the chairman of the Public Works Public Safety Committee, Mr. Jim Wood, to the microphone to share an idea that came out of their committee and is looking for some guidance from council.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight you have before you a recommendation for a three-way stop at Dolphin Street and John Avenue. At our last safety meeting, we had a pretty lengthy discussion about this. And in all fairness to Sam Perman sitting back here, she's been bringing this up since 2014. This is a long time in coming. If you come off at 98 at the Regatta Bay light and drive down toward Scenic 98, you go on a couple curves, and all of a sudden there's a straightaway. You're almost at the beach. Now you're going to drive the soda straw at whatever speed you're going, probably over the speed limit. We got a very narrow street, houses on both sides, very close together. Some of those driveways are blocked with some shrubbery. Luckily, we have John Avenue sitting there, right kind of in the middle, and a well-placed stop sign will break up that soda straw speedway. Now, I was on the council once before. Sometimes you make decisions after things happen. There's never a problem until there is. Kelly Street was never a problem until it was. So do we do something proactively, or do we wait? I say we kneecap it and be proactive. And we can put a stop sign, and it is basically a no-cost solution. And it may not solve every problem, but it'll solve a lot of it. And I would appreciate y'all approving that, and we thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, I guess you're the Mayor Pro Tem. I move that the city manager be instructed to install a three-way stop condition at the intersection of Dolphin Street and John Avenue.
Second.
Just hold off then. I hit the vote, reset the voting deal for me, Ray. Go ahead, Mr. Destin.
We've been, the reason I asked the time frame on when we can get it done, and I guess Public Works will tell us. We've been a little slow on doing some of these public works. I think 4 months ago, council voted unanimously to install the pedestrian walkways along Calhoun as the raised walkways we have in Crystal Beach. We also asked that the speed bumps be put back into beach after resurfacing. That was probably 5 or 6 months ago. Public Works, do you have any time certain for those two projects, and when can we expect this one to be done?
Yes, sir. We've been in constant contact with our contractor to reinstall those 3 speed humps on Beach Drive, and then your raised pedestrian walkway there at Calhoun and Zerby. It's just, it's been difficult to get them to do what we need them to do. You probably noticed today, maybe, that they finally got to the dip out in front of the fire station on Airport Road. And they've had that PO for a couple months now.
Do we need a new contractor?
We're in the process of kind of expanding our bullpen. I'll just put it that way. But this right here, this process will take about 2 weeks. What we want to do is put out some variable message boards to make people aware of the change in traffic condition, so they won't be surprised by 2 new stop signs. But the stop sign installation and the stop bar installation, those are very simple to do. So I would say probably by the end of this month, that will be completely 3-way stop.
Good deal. And let's stay behind those other 2. And I'll ask the city manager this question. How are we progressing on our contract management RFP?
Jeff, could you provide an update of where we're at with that?
Yeah, we still have a few key personnel that are reviewing that and adding final touches to that. I think that's something that by the end of the month, we will definitely have out, though.
By the end of the month?
Yep, that's the plan.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Mr. Braden.
Thanks, Mayor. Mr. Woods, I think it's, in the last 7 years, I think I can only remember 2 or 3 committee member chairman coming here for a recommendation. And it's really a breath of fresh air, because I know you guys do put a lot of hard work in, and all our committees do, and I hope we can make a habit out of it.
I hope so too. Thank you.
I just appreciate you bringing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Lance.
Thanks, sir.
That's right. We got to vote. Thanks, Jim.
And the seconded.
I don't want you to feel slighted. Let's go ahead and take a vote. We have a motion. We have a second. Vote is unanimous, so moved. Lance.
Thanks, sir. A few announcements. We've got a flood ordinance council workshop tentatively scheduled for January the 20th. We've got the visioning session tentatively scheduled for January the 27th. Also wanted to let the public know that the new Henderson Beach passes are available at City Hall as of today, as well as the resident parking passes and the Joe's Bayou Boat Launch passes for residents. Also, I wanted to give Michael the opportunity to promote his a couple things that he's been working on over the past few weeks. So, Michael, you want to?
Sure. Thank you, Lance. 2 kind of quick announcements. Our winter street cleanup for Adopt a Street is scheduled for this Saturday at City Hall. Everyone's going to be meeting at City Hall at 8 o'clock in the morning. That'll be for an initial safety briefing and the distribution of cleanup supplies. And then the second thing I just wanted to let you all know kind of officially, because you all ask me about it periodically, about the harbor pump. The harbor pump is back in operation and has been for about 2.5 weeks now. We're running it daily. And so I was actually down on the harbor walk yesterday volunteering for CBA, and I heard some visitors say or comment how clear the water was. Unfortunately, I mentioned this to Lance too, you can see a lot of debris on the bottom now, cans and bottles and whatnot. So that's just kind of a, I don't know how you would categorize that, but we're going to be looking for some volunteer groups like Bobby Wagner.
Why are they all pointing fingers at me?
No,
welcome to the council, sir.
We are very pleased with the performance of the pump once we had it rebuilt. It is silky smooth and sounds like a sewing machine. So the variable frequency drive that we've talked about for a few months, we should have a timetable for receiving and installing that by the end of this week.
Thank you, Michael. That's all we have, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Well, let's see what time it is. Let's take a 5-minute break real quick before we get into our public hearing. All righty then, we'll go ahead and get started back. Next up, item 5A, we have a public hearing. Mr. Bowman?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. No problem. First, we've got item 5A. This is Curtis Gwynn of Indian Bayou West LLC. On behalf of Indian Bayou Properties, is requesting approval for a major deviation to a major development order. The project is located at 1 Country Club Drive East, with the property totaling 69.16 acres. The applicant is proposing an addition of 11 lots to the previously approved 86 single-family long-term residential lots approved under DO 2112 for a total of 97 lots utilizing the same project area. If at this time I could get the applicant, any member of staff who plans on testifying, and any member of the public who plans on testifying to please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth? All right, thank you guys. And starting with Kevin, we'll go down the line and see if there's been any ex parte communications.
None.
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 No, sir.
All right, thanks, council. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kim.
Thanks, Kyle. The first thing I'd like to do is enter the staff report and all its attachments into the record as the city's composite Exhibit A.
Any objection to that, Curtis? Any objection to the staff report entering into the record? All right, thanks.
Okay, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Daniel Butler.
Thanks, Kim and Kyle. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So as Kyle stated, DO 2112 was approved earlier this year for the subdivision and development of an 86-lot, single-family long-term subdivision. The applicant is here today for approval of a 97-lot subdivision, and as stated earlier, this is utilizing the same project area, so there will be some lots that are just more narrow than they were in the original plan. So the future land use map designation of this parcel is low-density residential with a future zoning designation of low-density residential village. As we are aware, long-term single-family dwellings is a permitted use in this zoning district and in the future land use map. They'll provide a density, even with the 11 additional lots, is 1.44 dwelling units per acre. Per the land development code, the maximum allowed is 5.81, so it is still well under the allowable density. The development has provided the required 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit, and it does comply with all the other land development code and comprehensive plan elements. With that being said, staff does recommend City Council approval for the proposed major deviation to a major development order. The applicant is here this evening if you have any questions for him.
Mr. Curtis, would you like to come up?
Good evening, Curtis Gwynn. I live at 4 Wiki Wachi Circle here in Destin, which is right over here in Indian Bayou. I just wanted to say I hope everyone had a blessed Christmas like I did, and wanted to wish everyone a Happy New Year. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Actually, what this is all about really is the fact that we've had so much interest in the lots that we were going to run out of lots. And so I started looking at a way to possibly come up with some other lots without, changing the whole development. And during this process, I was waiting on my FDEP permit to come in, which I got right before the holidays. So I have every permit that I need. I could start tomorrow on the 86 lots that we have once I pull the clearing permit from the building department. But other than that, I started looking at a way that, first of all, that I might come up with maybe a little more affordable lot. And again, we had a density of 5.81 units per acre. The original was at 1.28. We're now at 1.44 units per acre. And so what I did was I went in and divided some of the 100-foot wide lots up into 70-foot wide lots, which meets all the requirements with the code. We jumped through every hoop again, went to the FAA, went to the county, the airport, and everything meets all the regulations. We haven't changed anything as far as the total layout. The streets are still in the same spot they were. We just divided some of the 100-foot lots took a group of them and turned them into 70-foot wide lots. And, you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that you can sell a 70-foot wide lot for less than you can a 100-foot wide lot. So it will give more lots for, you know, for people to buy. And as everyone knows, like we said last time, there are just no lots in Destin. And we're excited about this deviation. It doesn't affect anything other than it adds 11 lots, other than the fact that it does increase the tax base. You know, we're probably going from 65 million now up to 75 million in, you know, the tax revenue base for the city. I heard the Tourist Development Council talking about tourists coming down, loving the area. Well, this will give them another spot to buy a lot, build a house, and move here. And so I really don't have anything else to add to the, you know, and so, you know, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any council members, you have any questions for Mr. Gwynn? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Curtis, how many lots did you have to cut from 100 to 70 to come up with 11 more lots?
How many did I reduce it down?
Right.
The one street that I had 26 lots in there, and so I think you know, I've got some little layouts if you want to look at one, but I think I now split 26 lots and got the added 11, so that put it from 26 to 11 more. So there were 26 lots on that street, and I divided those into 70-foot lots.
Well, those new lots, are they also 70s? The new ones you're creating?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Okay. I was just trying to do the math in my head. If we were going to take 30 from, how many lots it would take to come up with 11 at 70, 720, you're about right. It's got to be 20-something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Mr. Gwynn, thank you for coming tonight again. I had two concerns the last time you were here. One was water runoff. And I know there's engineers and all sorts of geniuses that get paid a lot more money than I do to study all those things. And, you know, it does worry me that we're adding more structures on these properties that, you know, I know everybody says it's going to be okay, but it seems like when we have issues on 98 or Walton County or down the road with drainage, people always say, well, why are we here today? Well, you know, 20 years ago, we all approved all these things, and I just hope that it will be okay that after we take away the golf course and we add all these beautiful lots and homes, that all the neighbors around there will still be okay. But two, we're adding, the other issue I had was the road, that Old Creek Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're adding potentially 20 plus more cars.
11
houses.
11 more cars.
Is it 2 cars per property?
Well, I mean, you have to provide parking spaces for 2 cars on each property. That's part of the code.
Okay.
But it adds 11 trips is all it adds.
Okay. You know, safety is very important to me and a lot of other people, and I spoke on this last time, is that if majority of the people in this community are local, which I believe they will be, a lot of the activities that they might be doing with their family or friends or whatever are all to the west in Destin. And they're going to be coming down Airport and turning onto Commons Drive. And I just feel like majority of people, unfortunately, are going to want to turn left right onto that road. And I know it's going to be a double lane or double stripe. I mean, it's just now we have potentially 20 more cars. I know you say 11, but 10, 11, 15, however many more it is. I get worried about the traffic backup and now people illegally turning, which I guess we can't solve that problem, but is there not, I know it's not a big deal to maybe you guys, but has it never been discussed to just not have that road there? Is it really that necessary to have people be able to turn right there on that exit? Like on Old Creek Trail?
Well, Kevin, it's a right turn
out
and right turn in only. So what it does is that it alleviates some of the traffic that goes to the cul-de-sac right here
Sure.
and puts it back and out on Airport Road quicker than it would have to come down this road, go around the cul-de-sac, come
Yeah.
down. So it will also, alleviate some of the traffic on that. When people come in, they can come around and go in, take a right, and
Sure.
go in. Now, don't forget that there are people that play golf. So you can walk from your house over there to the golf course and recreate without having to get in your car.
Yeah, I know, and I'm sure there's reasons it's the way it is. It's just as we drive around Destin, we see a big issue that I think a previous employee here was looking into with safety on the neighborhoods, the streets, and whatnot. And we have a lot of impatient young adults, old adults, all between when it comes in regards to driving around here. And it's just another potential safety issue of people being in a hurry and they don't want to go the roundabout and then make their way all the way back down Indian Bayou Trail to turn into that side. And I hope if it becomes an issue one day that there will be some
I
helpful
hope it
measures
doesn't
from the
either,
neighborhood.
because I live in Indian Bayou, and, coming and going, it's going to be an advantage to the 334 owners
Sure,
that live
to
in
go
Indian
right.
Bayou to be able to come out and take a
go
right
right.
and not have to go
I agree with you.
through the
I
cul-de-sac.
agree, but coming back home,
No.
you're going to have to go or back around.
Yeah,
and
if
not
you're,
try to
if
take
you're
a
coming
shortcut.
from the west. Correct.
I just hope that if it becomes an issue that we'll be able to
Well,
maybe
I mean,
work
that,
together to
if that
find
becomes an issue
solutions.
that can be solved by putting up some,
Speed bumps or something?
no, not speed bumps, you can,
Median thing?
some of the little markers out there,
Gotcha.
where, excuse me, people cannot turn that way.
Gotcha.
Or, you could put another roundabout out there if you wanted to.
All right.
But that, we looked into that, but
Sure.
that was not warranted.
Okay. Awesome.
So,
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
and I appreciate it. Believe me, I understand the traffic. I lived here longer than you have,
That's right.
but, when
Nobody's questioning.
When I've known you all your life. Anyway, when we continually approve these 300 and 400 unit apartment complexes, I mean, what do you think we're going to get?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking single-family residential to give a place for people to, to settle.
Which is great.
I mean,
just
I'm
hope
telling
that
you,
they know how to turn.
this really was nothing more than I've got so many people on the list, and I have not talked to the first builder. I mean, I haven't talked to the first builder other than maybe his brother-in-law, Drew Killingsworth, but there are no people that are, there are builders out there that'll buy 5 and 10 lots if we want to, do it that way. So
Thank you. I'm looking forward to the neighborhood.
Mr. Braden. Oh, sorry, Kevin. You done? Okay, Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mayor. I got several issues. First, the 11 trips a day, there's 11 lots, that's 11 homes. It's hard for me to believe that all them 11 families are gonna leave today and not gonna return till tomorrow, and then leave again the following day. So there's more than 11 trips. And the mayor made the comment earlier today that it's not all about the almighty dollar. And that's all this is about. It's not about providing more lots for people out of the goodness of somebody's heart. It's about more money. And this project hasn't even broke ground yet. And you're back in here wanting to First Amendment to the development order to make more money. So what's going to happen next? Are we going to come back again and try to break up these lots in the back here to cut them down and add more lots? I mean, this whole project was sold that it's going to be just like the rest of Indian Bayou, and all the lots are going to be the same in there. I mean, everything we look about, and nobody ever talks, 7 years I've been here, nobody talks about the quality of life. But it's everywhere. It's right here on the strategic plan for 2026. Everything we got, quality of life. City of Destin, beaches, quality of life, first thing. When you leave here, go look at all the vehicles, city vehicles out there. First thing you're gonna see, quality of life, heritage, environmental. But nobody, the staff, nobody mentions quality of life. They want to put it on here because it sounds great, sell it to the people. But this ain't quality of life, I believe, packing more people in here. And then, to top it off, my biggest concern with this project to start with was the lots next to the airport. They recommended us not building those homes there because of the decibel level. Well, not only are we going to put the lots there anyway, now we're going to double them, put more over there. And these are the people that are going to complain about the noise. So I don't get it. If you're going to put more lots in there, put it back away from the airport where people don't complain about it. I don't know. I just have a hard time. I mean, there's no way I can support this tonight because my experience on this council is we ain't even come out of the ground yet. We're already changing it. There's going to be more amendments to it. I mean, I don't know, we just don't have the infrastructure for it. But here we want to just pack more lots in, and this is just a start. We haven't started yet, and this is a start. I promise you there'll be 10 amendments to this development order before it's done. And I mean, it's like I said, we're going to put them up against the airport. And I made that statement last time. You know, you might remember, what can we do so these people can't complain about the noise or about the airport? Well, building department, Noel said we're going to make them soundproof them, different building regulations, whatever, for these projects. Put it on their deed, you know, make them sign something. Yeah, I'm buying a place next to an airport. What's that going to do? Nothing. They still going to complain. We got one guy in Indian Bayou complaining about the speed. One guy. You know how much resources that one man is taking up over there? Had the sheriff's department out there putting a stealth radar camera up on a pole so they can get some real data, because they put their sign up out there on their trailer and people are slowing down because they see it. But he wanted to put speed humps up there. They showed up at the city council meeting trying to get the city to put speed humps over there. One guy. I even talked to the sheriff's department. Who's complaining? Is it 10 people? 10, 12? No, one guy. That's what they told me. One person doing all the complaining, doing all that. So we got, I don't know, 30-something lots here up against the airport fence. It's just more people is going to complain about it, and that's going to be a huge problem. I know down the line, it probably may not be when we're here, but it's going to be a problem. So, I mean, there's multiple things. And the biggest one, you know, I said earlier, there's no way. It's got to come. It's got to be a point where you know, quality of life for us, people that live here, and you know, to me, this ain't nothing more just making more dollars. Things are selling as fast as they can. Let's cram some more lots in here and make some more money. Get this going. We're going to change it again. Come up with another amendment to the development order. You're well within, you know, what the staff says, so you got more room to add more lots later. That's my 2 cents right now, Mayor. Thank you.
John.
Mr. Curtis, thanks for being here. Thanks for all the information. I got to disagree with you, Rodney. I understand what you're coming from, but what you're talking about is people. People just complain, you know? I mean, you got however many other lots in here, and they're not our concern. It's the new ones. Mr. Curtis is well below his density level. That's really all I've got to say about that. But I understand what you're saying, but I got to disagree with you. People are just going to complain. If you got people, there's going to be some complaining going on. If you've ever been at this traffic circle around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock coming here, it's a nightmare. If you can put however many people that leave Indian Bayou or Indian Bayou West or Indian Bayou Country Club, whatever, if you can put them back the way they used to come out, which was really nice. I hated it. When they put that roundabout in there, I hated having to go into Indian Bayou after that. I quit going to Indian Bayou. But I think if anything, it adds it adds a level of safety. It gets people, it disperses people in another way. That's all I got to say about that. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. All right. Any other questions from Mr. Gwynn?
Yeah, I got one.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I should have probably asked this during the briefing. So on left and right of Old Creek Trails, who does own the not included land? As far as on both sides, I know we're gonna take out what's there pavement-wise. I know that's kind of like a jungle, a dead jungle at the moment. Is that city ground? Is that someone else's ground?
I can answer that.
Okay.
That property now belongs to Indian Bow Properties, who are the owners of the golf course. That property, once the road's put in and everything's development, will still be owned by Indian Bow Properties. That is zoned differently. That's zoned commercial property, so.
And that was not really a question towards you. I was just, that's pretty much of an eyesore if we're talking quality of life. I'm speaking for the trees, and they're all dead there. So I don't know if there's any way to beautify the streetscape of that when that all comes through.
Well, that streetscape's gonna be, we agreed to put in 10-foot wide sidewalks. We're dedicating that street back to the public, to the city. We're putting in what's called the Destin Prague light fixture like you got on Commons and right out here. So, I mean, we're spending some money to beautify that, and we're gonna landscape everything. So it'll look a lot better.
Oh, no worries. No, it's not on here, so I assumed there was going to be something, but I just wanted to hear it.
Fine.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Bagby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have the distinct advantage with Bobby of not having been through the approval, so when I looked at it, had some questions. What are we doing, or what are you doing to tell the people or notice the people that, yes, you are building next to an airport, you're at noise, condition C or whatever, and this is what that means.
Okay. What the city requires is that you sign what's it called, the Destin, I've got a copy of it.
Noel can help you, or
It's
somebody.
when you come in to buy a building permit,
Mm-hmm.
and when you buy your lot, you have to record this document and put it in record it in the courthouse. It's called the Destin Fort Walton Beach Airport Noise Zone Disclosure Statement.
Okay.
And each individual that buys one of those lots that's in a noise zone has to sign this and record it with their lot. In the documents, the HOA documents, and the architectural review, I've highlighted all of that.
Okay.
This has allowable uses, height restrictions. It's got a section in there that's called Airport Regulations Compliance. So it spells out that if you buy one of these lots next to the airport, here's what you have to do. You are acknowledging that you are building next to the airport. It also has, and we worked with the airport to come up with all this language. And it hasn't changed from when we got the 86 lot development order. That's all still in here. There's also a caveat in there that no revisions to this declaration can be done without prior approval from Okaloosa County. So, I mean, we've got all kind of safeguards in there for, people that will know.
Well, I guess my question is that part of the packet that, because I do a fair amount of closings, and you put 80 pages in front of people, and there's about 15 tabs where, okay, sign at this tab, and I'll be honest with you, every closing I've ever been, to include the houses I've bought, I do not read every single page, and that's I probably shouldn't say that as a realtor. Well, no, you make up your mind, oh, I want to be in this neighborhood, and, the last house we bought, we had 4 houses bought out from underneath us. We were just happy to get that house, so I didn't care what it said in there.
Well, and you know, all I can say is, we're gonna make everyone aware of this before they sign the contract.
Okay. My next question, my other question, I guess, is the lake that used to be between the second and third fairways. You know which one I'm talking about? You'd have to fade it just a little bit.
On Creek?
On Creek.
On the old
right.
Creek course?
On the old Creek course. Okay. My understanding from reading this is you're filling it in. Is that correct?
Correct. We're filling all the lakes in that were on Creek.
Okay. To include the one that was by the church there. So it was on both sides of the second fairway.
Correct.
Of Creek. What are you going to put there?
What are we gonna put there? Well, a road comes through part of it, but
Okay.
there are gonna be lots. All of those, I mean, those lakes were dug in 1990 when they developed that course. It was all sand.
Okay.
And just, you know, scrub pine. And, you know, Dewey probably, when he was a kid, ran around over there and played on it or whatever. I mean, just nothing but pure sand. So they dug all those lakes out to get the mounds, you know, to get the mounds and the greens and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pump the water out of those things, clean
Okay.
them out, fill them back in, compact them, and those lakes will not be there anymore.
Okay.
It's just gonna go back to the way it used to be.
And then my last question to Mr. Schmidt's question is, where are you going to pump all that water?
Where we're
From
gonna
all those
pump the-
lakes?
Where we're gonna pump that water? If you hadn't been out to Indian Bayou, they've been draining the lakes down. And we plan on pumping it through the trees and everything that we're leaving now, and it will be filtered through, a lot of it's gonna go into the existing lakes, but the rest of it will be filtered through the five lakes before it gets to the bay. Just like any water that's out there right now. When we get those big rains, it filters through all of those lakes before it gets into the bay.
Yeah. And I guess the last point I'd make, I kind of fall in between Mr. King and Mr. Braden. Yeah, it's 11 more lots, but that's not what's causing the traffic problem there. It's the other 400 and something lots that already existed. You know, 11 additional lots on what he's approved. And you may be right. He may come back 10 times and try to get this changed, but the only thing I can consider is what's before us tonight, and I don't think that it's that out of bounds. So I appreciate you coming in and your answer, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bagby. Don't go anywhere, Mr. Gwynn. They're stacking back up. Mr. Braden.
Thanks. This, I don't know if it's for the city attorney or land use attorney. These documents that we're talking about, they're going to sign. How much leverage do they have? If I'm a homeowner and I've signed all this stuff or claimed this, have read it and signed it, and then I want to come back and sue the city or the county, whoever, because I didn't know, or, I mean, how much weight does this document carry?
I mean, I don't think the city faces any exposure for any sort of noise complaints or anything like that. I think it's merely a method that the county has devised to put people on notice for the airport's security and safety, right? Right.
So what you're saying, it really doesn't protect or do anything, they just...
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps protect the airport because you have to record it along with your deed, and your HOA documents are there, you know, they're all discoverable. So yeah, I think it's all part of the package that will provide the public notice of them being next to an airport.
Okay. Thank you.
And those will be recorded, you know, in the public records documents.
Rodney and Kevin both answered it, never mind.
Curtis, did I understand you say that the road that's going to go out to Commons is going to be rededicated to the city?
Correct.
Which is the right-of-way, excuse me.
The whole thing, I mean, the road, the right-of-way.
I understand it, but the city had abandoned it 20 years ago because Indian Byway insisted that we did. It's a good idea, a right turn, that will relieve some of the pressure. We never should have closed the road in the first place.
I agree with you.
But somehow we did.
I was living there when we got, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I voted against that, but it didn't
Yeah, I
matter.
bet you did. I remember.
the complaints, we're making them put it in the deed, about as strong as we can get it. Besides, if you don't know you're behind next to an airport, shame on you.
Some
So that
people
doesn't
live
bother
close
me.
to it right now.
Yeah, yeah. But what does occur to me is that I think when this was brought before the council a year ago or so, the idea was we're gonna build nice homes, quality homes that are large lots like the rest of Indian Bayou. And doing the calculation, we're reducing approximately a third of the lots by 30%. And to come up with the 11 additional lots. And as far as the quality of the development and the number of more people we're putting into there, I have a problem with that. And what I have a bigger problem with, and this, Curtis, this isn't your problem, but I keep hearing from the folks that are building things that, well, the density would allow me to put 4 or 5 per acre. Well, that would come up with 300 units. And when you say, so I'm only doing this much, and because I could have done this much under our code, that is really not a good argument. Problem is, our code would allow you to put that much on there. And it's the same story with the townhouses, the number you can put there. This is really about, I'm afraid I agree with Mr. Braden, this is about making some more money. 86 lots were plenty last year, now we want to sell some more. So I've got a problem with that aspect, but, the rest of it seems good.
Yeah, I just was looking at it, and a 70-foot wide lot's it's not a tiny lot. I mean, these are, how deep are these, Mr. Curtis?
Excuse me?
How deep, these are,
Every lot is still the same depth. The ones that back up to the airport are 200 foot deep. The other ones are 150 foot deep.
there are like no lots in Destin available over a quarter of an acre. These are all, every one of these is .32 or bigger. That's a pretty good sized lot. I mean, so. I think I would disagree, and I'm not, just solely to be consistent with my stance on home ownership. There are a lot of things in this town that, and Mr. Destin, you've been doing this way longer than me. But as far as if you were going to compare this project to some of the other ones that have been approved in the last several years, it's no comparison.
Mr. Bagby?
Yeah, and once again, I fall in between them. My issue's always been, we do this to ourselves. We do this to the city ourselves, because if we want lower density, we ought to have the dadgum guts to say, we're going to impose lower density. We're not going to spot zone so that we don't get a Bert Harris claim or whatever. But, and I think that's what most of the citizens want. But that's not what the law is right now. And he's within the law. You know, my issue is there's a lot of wetlands, having played the creek a lot of times, you know, in those little target holes where you got to hit it 150 yards.
We're leaving those alone.
I know you're leaving the wetlands alone, but somehow that's part of that acreage. You know, when you do the little protection zone, I would double the protection zones for those wetlands. Why? Because that gets to your drainage issue, okay? And so, but that's not what we're here to do tonight. We're here tonight to review what the man's brought before us and vote yes or no. But I agree, we ought to change a lot of stuff that we have in this city.
All right, Jim, if it's before us tonight, but why is it even, if it's, Jim's saying it's within the law or whatever, then why are you even here tonight then?
For what?
Why is it even before us? If we don't have any say or anything, it's well within his rights, why is he even here?
Well, I mean,
So
your land
if I could-
development code requires it.
Well, you can, just let me jump in so I can answer the
Mr.
legal
Graham.
question, and I'll let you respond too. So the code requires it to come to you, and there's criteria in the staff report that you are to look at. It's in the conclusions section, there's those 6 items, and that's the basis for an approval or denial. I mean, I can go through them if you want me to.
So it's not just, no, I've read them, but it's not just as simple that he's met all requirements. We've got to approve it.
Kim?
Meeting the requirements is one of the criteria, yes.
Right. For the public record, I think, since it is quasi judicial, I think you ought to read those out loud.
I don't have a problem with that.
Please.
Okay, so following the required public notice and hearing, the city council shall either approve with conditions, approve with modifications, or deny the community development staff's recommendation, and shall, 1, determine conformity of the proposed development with the comprehensive plan, the code, other applicable requirements, and the items enumerated herein. Hear and address concerns and desires of surrounding landowners and other affected persons. Consider any rule, objective, or policy of the comprehensive plan or any other criterion applicable to the particular development proposals in formulating its recommendation to either approve or deny the proposal. 4, if the proposal is approved or approved with conditions, the city council shall instruct the city manager or designee to authorize the issuance of a development order that complies with section 2.08. 5, if the proposal is approved with modifications, a development order may be authorized by the city manager or designee once the required modifications have been completed and approved by the appropriate TRC members. 6, if the proposal is denied based on the applicant's failure to meet the requirements of the code in the proposed development plans, the application will become null and void, and the applicant will lose inline priority consideration for concurrency and would have to submit a new application.
Thank you, ma'am. And the reason I asked her to do that, folks, is just that lays the ground rules of the consideration here tonight. And I just wanted that to be spoken because there's been a lot of points and discussion back and forth. So I just wanted to get us back to ground zero. And if there's no further discussion, we'll enter into the public comment portion of this public hearing. And then we'll come back, have a motion. You can have further discussion at that point, and then we'll take it to a vote. Okay? All right.
Can I make one more statement?
Go ahead.
Running out, whether you believe me or not, this started with the interest, the list of people that I have. I have not talked to realtors. This is just individuals that have been interested in buying property in there and building a home. And that's where this came from. Didn't have anything to do with money. Whether you believe it or not, that's where it came from. I went to Bob Lee and the owners of Indian Byway, and I said, guys, we're going to run out of lots. And here's a proposal that I've come up with to put some more lots out there for people. And like I said, you can sell a 70-foot wide lot for less than you can a 100-foot wide lot. So it just gives more people that can't afford, $400,000 for a lot, an opportunity to buy a lot and build a house in Indian Byway. And the architectural guidelines are pretty stringent.
Right.
So-
I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to stick with quality over quantity. And I put money where my mouth's at, or mouth where money's at. I have a lot on Benning right now. It's zone multifamily. I can put 5 or 6 townhomes on it. But I'm putting 2 homes on it. I've already split the lot into 2, and I'm putting 2 homes on it. So I'm doing exactly what I'm preaching tonight. I'm quality over quantity. I don't want to put 6 townhomes on it. I want to put 2 nice homes on it.
Okay.
And
Well,
that's
these
just
houses
me.
are going to be quality. It's just, whether you have 97 or 86, they're all going to be quality homes.
Thank you, Mr.
And,
Quinn.
and of course, you don't want to hear this, but the infrastructure cost between when I started and where I am now went up by $1 million. And you can't hardly find anybody to do it right now because everybody's so busy. So, again, like I said, whether you believe me or not, it's not all about money.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn.
Thank you.
You have another opportunity, I'm sure. So what we'll do now is we'll open up, this is a public hearing, and so we'll do the public hearing portion. So I'm going to open up the public hearing portion right now, And so if anybody would like to come to the podium, I'll start over here. Sir? State your name and your address for the public record, and you have 3 minutes.
Excuse me. My name is Ray Mansfield. I live in Fort Walton Beach, but I'm speaking tonight for a man named Gary Troop, who is a Destin resident, and also for local pilots and airplane owners in the county, at the county airport. Gary wrote this as one pilot's perspective regarding the proposed residential development next to the Destin Airport. And as local pilots, we've talked about it quite a bit. We're not against the entire development only of the residential homes, but we're only interested in homes that would be built inside of the Zone C sound area. And we're also concerned with the additional homes that are being proposed to be added now. This is a picture of the Destin Airport from the air. The red area is where there are no structures at all. The yellow area is the ramp, the hangars, and the FBO terminal building. It's a little hard to see, but up at the north end, there are 2 blue areas that are currently residential areas that are within the Zone C area of the airport. This is a diagram showing runway 14 and the A, B, and C sound zoned areas. Just to the right of the airport is an area of residential homes that are in Zone C. The green ones, it has been recommended the city buy those and or the county buy them through so that people can move away from that Zone C area. This is the south area, A, B, and C zones, sound zones. And you can't see it there, but I had an arrow for the airport road so you could orient yourselves better, but it's not there. Now, this is Torrance, California. They're having concerns about residential areas around the airport. They have marked there, it's a little hard to see, there's 2 green arrows. One represents the distance from the main runway to the residential area, which was 1,200 feet. The smaller arrow represents the distance from the secondary runway to the residential area, and that's 700 feet. This is Naples, Florida Airport. They have restrictions. Both of the residential areas around Naples are at least 1,000 feet from the airport runway, the secondary runway. The primary runway, there are no residential areas near it. It's all industrial areas. The results of building homes too close to an airport cause a number of different problems. I'll have to find my slide here. I can't quite read that from here.
Your time's up, but I'm going to give you another 1.5 minutes, okay? If you could speed it up a little bit.
Yes, okay. Results of building homes too close to an airport. Homeowners complain to politicians, and that's happening now. Modifications to an airport cost local taxpayers large sums of money. It's already been mentioned that there was a wall built at the north end of the airport, a sound wall, cost $400,000, and there could be more of that. There are strict noise abatement procedures at some airports, which are not, pilots don't like that, and I don't suspect passengers know about it, but I'm sure that you wouldn't want to take off on an airplane and know that the pilot's going to reduce power as he climbs out. Items to consider regarding the Destin Airport. It's a busy airport embedded in a populated area. Some homes are already in the noise zone. Noise and pollution complaints are an ongoing thing. And of course, the airport supports tourists who come into town. I frequently see planes land and mom and dad get out of the airplane with many kids. So tourists come in through the airport. What we're requesting is that the city council visit the airport sometime, stand about 300 feet from the approach end of runway 32, and listen to what it sounds like when a plane takes off and lands. We're also requesting that no additional residential buildings or lots be approved in this development. So we are, of course, not happy to hear they're going to add 11 additional homes in the new development. And we would like the council to seriously consider rezoning the property in Noise Zone C to something more appropriate to reduce the tensions and future complaints, which would be more of an industrial type zoning.
Can you wrap it up?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyway, I appreciate the extra time. We're not against the entire development. Only the residential homes in the Noise Zone C and additional homes to be added. An airport is really an industrial area of operation, and cities don't zone industrial areas for residential homes. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Sir, do you know how many feet it is to that Zone C from the runway or from?
About 300 feet.
So like, okay.
That's less than the distance at the Torrance Airport
To these property lines?
to the fence line, the airport fence line, and I
Thank
believe
you.
the property goes right up to the fence
Thank
line on
you.
the other side.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, sir. Any questions? Go ahead.
I don't know if they are in the Zone C right now. What we're concerned is the fact that it's more people going to be there, which results in more complaints and things like that. So it's not, in fact, the number of lots up against the airport fence is still the same. I counted them.
I believe in one of the diagrams he put up there that there were multiple lots in Zone C.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Curtis, after public comment, I'll let you address that particular question. Come back up to the podium, okay?
Question what?
About additional lots in Zone C. Anyone else like to make public comment? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment. Mr. Gwynn, would you like to come up here and address that particular question or make any other comments before we entertain a motion?
Okay, yes, they are. In the existing plan, there are some properties in Zone C. I would remind everyone that the Okaloosa County Airport Authority is okay with this development. They wrote off on everything we did. We worked hand in hand with them. We got all the FAA requirements that were needed. So we've met every rule and regulation to build next to an airport. And in the airport's information, their master plan, which I have, it says in some of the FAA documentation that it is fine to build residential homes in a Noise Zone C. And the requirements are put on the builder and the owner to sound deaden to a certain level. It's not a sound transference, it's a decibel level that they have to build to. And so,
I live in Zone A.
yeah, I understand. And I live in
Tommy Nard used to toilet paper me when he'd fly in on landing. He'd roll my house.
I hear every plane that lands and takes off. I've been over there since 90.
I've been there for 32
So,
years. I'm okay with
yeah.
airports and airplanes.
Mayor, we had a presentation in here, I don't know if it was from the county or the FAA, that spoke about all the noise, the A, B, and C, and the decibel levels and all that. You remember having that?
Yeah, I was here for that. What's the question?
Who put on that presentation?
The county.
Yeah,
That had to do with those helicopters?
I don't know, it was for this subdivision, they had, it was like red, blue, and green areas in the different noise areas, and their recommendation at that time, right here, was not to build in Zone C.
All I can say is it's in all the FAA documents.
There was a slide in one of the things that was emailed to us that had a news quote from city manager at the time. I'm not sure if it's named who it was, but the quote was, I think, is that what you're referring to? I guess that in 2019, there might have been a presentation that the quote said something about not recommend a build
Well,
there.
I
but
can
I mean, they may be okay with it, but their recommendation here at that time was they recommended not building anything in Zone C because of the noise decibel.
What are we looking at on the screen here?
Mr. Mayor, this is Article 7, Section 15, and this outlines the actual Zone A, B, and C noise contours. And so I just wanted to bring that up for visual for everyone. That's in our LDC.
Yeah, and that dotted line is the airport property line?
The yellow
Fence?
line that you see there is the airport property. The dotted line is the outermost contour, noise contour. That first the line next to the dotted line, the circle, that's the beginning of Zone C. And then the interior of that to the second is the second contour that's Zone C, and then the next one's B, and then the one right around the runway itself is Zone A.
Thank you.
Sir.
But again, it meets all the land development code rules and regulations, FAA, county. I mean, yeah.
All right. Okay, well, at this point, we've had public comment, presentations by the developer, and comments amongst the council members prior to motion. I will entertain a motion now, and which will open us up to have further discussion, or if we're discussed out, we'll go right to a vote. So I'll entertain a motion.
I move the city council to approve Indian Bayou West First Amendment major deviation to a major development order.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any further discussion on this? Go ahead.
For our attorneys, should the motion not pass, Mr. Gwynn does not lose his approval for the 86, does he?
No, that's correct.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. No further discussion, please vote. This, no votes, 4 to 3 yes votes, the motion fails. We're done with that, right, Kyle?
Yep, that will conclude 5A this time.
My timer. All right, up next is 5C.
That's right, and this, let me get to it real quick. This is 5C. Applicant is requesting consideration of conditional use 2135 CU for a conditional use approval. This project includes the location of a pet grooming business to be located at 981 Airport Road. If I get any member of staff who plans on testifying, and the applicant and any member of the public who plans on testifying to please stand, raise your right hand. Do we have the applicant here, staff? Okay, there we are. All right. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth? All right, thank you. This time, again, I'll go down the line, starting with Kevin, see if there's been any ex parte communication.
None for me.
None for me.
I was contacted a month ago about this particular situation by a friend of theirs. So that's my only discussion, was with our city staff.
Thanks, Mayor. And Teresa?
I've had none.
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 No, sir.
All right, looking to Kim or city staff to take it from here.
We are just going to enter the staff report into the record as the city's Exhibit A, and then I'll turn it over to staff.
And as the applicant, do you have any problem with the staff report entering into the record for this matter? No objection from the applicant. All right, Kim.
Good evening again, council. So as Kyle stated, this is a conditional use request from the applicant for a pet grooming business. The site that this is being proposed on is located in the residential office institutional village residential zoning district, so ROIVR. The proposed use of pet care except veterinary services is a conditional use within this zoning district. The Staff did a review of the proposed use and the analysis or the criteria that's outlined in the future land use element of the comprehensive plan, as well as the conditional use criteria outlined in the land development code. And there's 6 criteria that the applicant fills out regarding overproliferation, sufficient size, intensity, density, and so on. So staff did a review of that, the comprehensive elements and the land development code, and does agree that this would be a appropriate use for the ROI's future land use map designation, and does recommend City Council approval of conditional use 2135 CU Barks and Bubbles pet grooming. And the applicant as well is here this evening for any questions.
All right. Do you want to make a statement first before we get into discussion? Just explaining what you're wanting to do, and then while you're up here, we'll go ahead and start taking questions from the council members. Hit the red button. Yeah, turn the light on. There you go. Just state your name and address.
Thomas Hodges, 731 Heron Circle, sorry. I'm a little nervous, Heron Circle. The bottom line is that we're looking to open a dog grooming business and doggy daycare. Yeah, that's what we're looking to do right off of Airport Road. Also, yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line.
All right, Ms. Haber, stay right there.
As a pet owner that has to wait 6 weeks to get my dogs in anywhere or longer, well, I know that we need it, but can I just ask you, what is your background? Have you opened one before? Have you groomed pets, or is this going to be like you're going to give it a try and then in a year you go bankrupt because you didn't know what you were doing? I mean, what's your qualifications, if you don't mind?
No, absolutely. So I just retired from the service. So I'm retiring from the service. My wife has been grooming for 20 years. So while I was out doing the Army thing, she was grooming. So that's what she's been doing. So this is her dream, her aspiration. So I mean, really, we're coming to build a sustainable business in a place that we love. So that's really what we're looking to do. So she's the talent, and I'm the guy behind the scenes, just with the worker bee.
Well, thank you for your service, and thanks for supporting him, because we know the wives are just as big a support to the military. So I did my 20, so thank you. And thank you for answering that, because it's always good to know when somebody's been doing this kind of work that wants to open up a business and make it their life's goal. So thank you. That's what I had.
Johnny.
Hey, I think this is an awesome idea. We've got a couple of dogs, and we're all the time looking for somewhere to take them, or get them groomed or drop them off somewhere. My wife gets so sad when she's got to leave them at the house. I do not care. My wife, she don't care, but she'll be your number one. Yeah, I know. She'll be your number one customer. I think it's an awesome idea. More than that, I think it's an awesome need, and it's a great need in our community. So good on you,
Kevin.
Thank you for your service as well, and I commend you both of you for taking this adventure, entrepreneurship, and everything. It's a big undertaking, so congratulations. Agree. I have the need too, so I'm all excited about it. Do you know if there are any other current tenants in that building by chance?
Within the building,
are you the whole building?
We are the whole building. So there are no other tenants within that building. That all the 2,400 square feet is all for doggy daycare, all for grooming. There will be no complaint. Yeah, no, not.
Sure.
I mean, I don't believe so.
Sure. That was my main question. So thank you for answering. And I understand that public notice went out. Neighbors got letters. So if anybody wanted to complain about possible barking inside of the building, they had their chance, they got the notice, and nobody else was here tonight. Or public hearing's not yet, but we'll see, I guess.
That's next.
But thank you again, I appreciate it.
Mr. Wagner.
I was just curious on the hours of operation for that concern. Obviously, no one else is concerned that would be your neighbors, but I was just kind of curious if it's overnight at all, or if it's just strictly daycare.
Yeah, so it'll be daycare. So 8 to 5:30. We will have boarding as well, so there will be boarding as well. But
Okay.
yeah, so but 8 to 5:30. Saturdays will be by appointment only.
Okay.
And Sundays will be off.
Thank you.
Mr. Braden.
Thank you for your service, sir. Who come up with Barks and Bubbles?
That is my wife, sir.
Great job. Love that. Thanks.
Are you serving like Prosecco when you go get your dog groomed, or my wife gonna hang out there all day?
I'm glad your wife named that place. You know, being an Army guy, you know, that might not be good look.
If you were Navy.
Is there any further questions here? Okay, thank you very much. Right now, go ahead, you can have a seat. And I'll open this up to for public comment, seeing how this is a public hearing. Is there anyone that want to make comments about this new place of business in this location? Seeing no one at the podium, I'm going to close the public comment part of this public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Oh, fine, do it.
All right, is there any discussion? Seeing none? Vote is unanimous, so moved. Much success to you people. Okay then, sir.
All right, last one's an ordinance. This is ordinance 2121 CC, an ordinance of the City of Destin, Florida, providing for amendments to the Code of Ordinances to require post-occupancy inspections for threshold buildings, defining threshold buildings, providing for findings of fact, providing for incorporation into the Code of Ordinances, providing for conflicting provisions, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And this is a public hearing.
Thanks, sir. Seeing how this is first reading of our ordinance, I think what we'll do first and foremost is we'll open up for public comment at this time. Does anyone want to come to the podium and make comments on the first reading of ordinance 2121-CC? Seeing no comments, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment portion of the hearing, and I'll entertain a motion at this time for.
I'll make that motion that I move City Council approve proposed ordinance 2121 CC require inspection after certificate of occupancy.
I got a motion. Second. And I have a second, Mr. Bagby.
And I'm going to play Mr. Braden's role here on this one. On this, I was against this before. I voted for it, just moving along for development. The city's getting in the business that it has no business of being in. I asked the staff during my pre-meeting, how many structures does this cover? Well, it's about 80. Okay, this covers every structure over 50 feet tall in this city. Every single one of them. That's a lot of houses in Crystal Beach. Of course, it's a lot of condos along the harbor, down on Holiday Isle. The mayor just loves that timer thing. Yeah. But the state fully, and I support what the committee said, is let's wait and see what the state does. And if they don't do anything, which we all know they're going to do something. So I've got a substitute motion, Mr. Mayor. I would ask that we direct staff to draft a resolution for your signature addressed to the state legislature and governor, specifically Representative Maney, Senator Gaynor, and Governor DeSantis, strengthening the state's oversight of condominium maintenance by raising the threshold for owners to waive raising the necessary money to protect their investment.
Second.
So we have a supplement motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah. Can I, since I'm the motion maker, thank you, and I appreciate
Then
the second.
Dewey's next. Go ahead.
Yep. This is not this. We can't run this program effectively. I'll be honest with you. When you think about, when you walk through what this program would entail, us doing an RFP, us getting an inspector, us receiving the inspection reports, us paying somebody on our staff to review the inspection reports, and then I asked the staff, well, if we get one and there's an issue, they're not doing maintenance on their concrete or on their rebar, what's our recourse? And the answer was, we don't really have a recourse. What the heck are we going to spend all this time, all this money, and all this staff effort? And I know, I get it. It makes everybody feel like we're doing something, that we're going to make a difference. It makes us feel good, but we're not going to accomplish a single thing in setting this up, other than we're going to have another report that we're going to make condominiums or homeowners with houses over 50 feet produce at least every 10 years. And then we're going to have somebody review it and tell us, oh, you know, they got termites in that house that's 60 feet or 53 feet tall. Okay, what are we going to do? The house is going to fall down, but we can't do anything. So I would just say, I understand everybody's heart wanting to do something and make sure that Surfside doesn't happen here, but this isn't the solution. Thank you.
Mr. Destin.
And I understand completely Mr. Bagby's position. This is the first reading. It would be not accomplishing the purpose to include single-family dwellings that are 50 feet. But there is plenty of room between first and second reading to address those issues. Protecting the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens is the very core of what we do. That condo that fell down in Surfside, there were 100 brothers, sisters, children, mothers who died there because nobody was paying attention and nobody took any actions. Some of the condos in this area were being built when I was in high school. I guarantee my foundation is not as good as it was 50 years ago. I think we need to look at the issue. Is this ordinance perfect? Probably not. But we need to have something on the books to where we don't have a repeat of that and say, well, it was the state's responsibility. It wasn't our responsibility at all.
Well, I think, Mr. Brady, I'll get to you second. I think the biggest challenge here, though, is having the resources and the wherewithal to do something about it, especially without state mandating standards. You know, I mean, our building folks, they go by the state standards for building codes. So that's why I think Jim's on the right track by, let's put this in the hands of the state. Now, we may have to follow the state statutes from here on out, but having a local ordinance to address what you're speaking today about, I don't think is probably the most prudent way to do it. You know, so we'll hear back from you can respond to me then, and then I'll catch Mr. Brady next. Go ahead.
All due respect, the same argument could be made about doing inspections at all, about having police protection, about having fire protection. Those things are very expensive, but they're at the core of what we do. And I'm sure that we can arrive at some way to contract this out and to have some ability to, if something is wrong with one of these buildings, to put the building and the public on notice. Doing nothing, in my opinion, is not an option, and doing nothing because we say it might be expensive is even weaker.
Thank you, Mr. Destin. And we do have a supplement motion here, so I'll take Mr. Braden and Mr. Smith, and then we can vote on the supplemental motion. And if it fails, then we can make another motion until something passes to put us into a second reading. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I'm all about, you know, protecting the public as well where we can, but I know some of these condos, or most all of them, you really can't get a true sense of what that building's doing unless you x-ray it. So me personally I don't want to give a family false sense of security that we send in there and say, yeah, this building's safe or whatever it is. And I mean, phrase comes to mind, stick with what you know and sub out the rest. Leave it to the professionals, you know. And I don't know if we can go into somebody's personal property, you know, a condo or house or whatever, and inspect it. I don't know, like to say what kind of inspection we're going to do, just put our eyeballs on it, or we're actually going to go in there and x-ray it and that kind of thing. So I think we just need to leave it to them, leave it to the state, and not give a family a false sense of security that they're in a safe building. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, sir. Didn't the council not too long ago, or a handful of years ago, do an inspection on short-term rentals for bedroom size and beds? Was that a new inspection or ordinance that we now go in to see what's in there?
So when we did the occupancy limits and we settled some of the occupancy claims by settlement agreements, and some of those, the building official went in to determine if the higher occupancy was something that she could recommend to council. But if you have anything to add, I'll let Noelle.
No, that's fine. I'm with Mr. Destin, and, we can't let the fear of cost, the fear of how are we going to do this a year from now, and, we add a lot of tasks and duties to staff and other people that are, sometimes less important than the safety of residents and visitors in these buildings, and I think our staff is fully capable of figuring it out between now and then. And I also, by all means, don't want to leave it up to state legislator. And there is a caveat in here that says if there is a change in legislation, it'll come back to the LPA and then it'll come back to us. So if this first motion fails, I see that in here that would happen if something in the state changes. But the state and the insurance agencies and all that, I don't want to just wait and wait and wait. So I want to go forward.
Mr. Bagby.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't clear. It's not about cost. It's not about safety. I want it to be as safe as everybody up here. I think we all want it to be safe. We just had, and there is a requirement, our balcony railings get inspected frequently. Okay, I think it's every 3 years or 2 years. We get ours inspected every 3 years. The guys just completed it. There are no life safety issues. That's not a county requirement. That's not a city requirement. Okay, that is a state requirement. That's who runs the inspections for condominiums, which is really what we're talking about. The only thing when I read this, I was like, well, heck, a threshold building. There's a lot of 50-foot high threshold buildings over 3 stories in this city, and that's why I pointed that out. But it's not about, we are not in the business of regulating condos, which is really what we're talking about, Surfside. And I will tell you, if you've read the reports from Surfside, everybody that lived there, everybody that was on the board knew the problems with that building. In fact, they had just done a special assessment. They were going to spend millions of dollars to repair that building. They waited too long, okay? I know the condition of my house. I bet everybody up here knows the condition of their house or their businesses or whatever. And if it's not right, we get it fixed. But the level of government in this federal system that regulates condominiums and condominium safety, not the construction. We look at the construction. The safety, once it's built, once it's completed, is at the state. And you're getting into a business, we're not qualified. It doesn't matter how much money we spend, we will not be qualified. What's the inspection standard? What's the inspection frequency? What's the I mean, we could go through the whole list, and I won't beat this dead horse, but it's not about safety and it's not about cost. It's about who's doing what and what difference are we going to make, because we're not going to make a difference. We can pass this ordinance 28 times. The final point I would make is until the legislature meets and the legislature adjourns, I would ask you, if my motion fails, that we just table this and see what the legislature does. And if they don't do anything on condominium safety, I'll vote for this ordinance. But I guarantee you, they will.
All right, Ray, we have a motion, a substitute motion. Would you please read it so everybody knows what the substitute motion says?
I would like to ask Mr. Bagby to repeat that because he went pretty fast.
Okay.
I wrote it down just for you. You know how I do it, how I operate here, buddy.
All right, go ahead, Jim.
Direct staff to draft a resolution for the mayor's signature addressed to the legislature and governor, specifically Representative Maney, Senator Gaynor, and Governor DeSantis, requesting they strengthen the state's oversight of condominium maintenance by raising the threshold for owners. Because right now, stop writing, Ray, other than catching up. Right now, the threshold in the Florida statute 718 is a majority vote of the owners. So they can waive getting the money collected to pay for the repairs by a majority of vote of the owners every year. And there are some condominiums, Surfside being a perfect example, that do that. I'm not aware of any up here that do that, but I'm sure there are some. Oversight of condominium maintenance by raising the threshold for owners to waive raising the necessary money to protect their investment.
Okay, that's our motion. We're going to go ahead and vote on that substitute motion right now. The vote, ayes have it, so moved. You got your orders there, I guess, staff. As soon as that letter's ready, I'll sign it. Just call me in.
Thanks.
All right. There we go. Item 6, Councilmember Braden.
I've had enough tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Me too, sir. Thank you very much, by the way. Mr. Wagner.
I just wanted to direct the Parks and Rec to go over the hours of operation for the parks. I wanted to get their feedback in on that before we went forward with some kind of approval.
Go ahead.
I would just want to offer this to Councilman, that if you direct me to do that, I will take care of that for you.
All right, then I'm gonna pull a switcheroo on that. All right, so I'd like to direct the city staff to, or city manager to work with the Parks and Rec Committee to see a availability of hours, specifically the twilight sunset timing.
Is that all you got? Thanks, sir. Mr. Destin.
Thank you, Mayor. As you may have gathered from my testimony from my erstwhile relative earlier in the meeting, that I think we need to look a little strongly, or more strongly, or pursue a little more strongly the old time pottery property. After all, it was added on to our list at the visiting session. So I would make a motion to direct the mayor and whichever attorney is available to try to track down who owns that and ask them about a purchase price.
Second. I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Braden? Oh, he took a break.
Oh, this is rules? Oh, my bad.
No playing on the dais.
No. We can vote, go voice vote, or we can still vote.
No, he's here. He just,
Come on, man, we're taking a vote.
yeah.
Rodney.
I feel for him.
Rodney, you need your vote.
He's coming.
Microphone, please.
Yes or no, Rodney?
Yeah, we're voting. We're waiting on your vote. Ayes have it. So moved. Mr. Bagby. Ma'am?
Thank you, Mayor. I met with Webb and Catherine this week, or last week, and we were talking about the beach ordinance with the double red flags, and that, you know, a lot of the Destin safety laws are not really in conjunction with the Okaloosa counties. So if I could ask staff or city manager to get staff to bring back the beach ordinance for the double red flags in February. This goal is that we can align our Destin beach safety laws with Okaloosa counties for consistent messaging and enforcement. Do I need to make any kind of motion with that, Mr. City Manager, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to have the city staff bring back beach ordinance for double red flags in February. This goal is to align Destin's beach safety laws with Okaloosa counties for consistent messaging and enforcement.
Got a motion, got a second, any discussion? Seeing none? Ayes have it, so moved.
Thank you, Mayor. The second thing I have, we had Jennifer here from the TDC, and this was something she and I had been talking about, part of some of the things that we weren't to do to improve communications. I'd like to make a motion to have staff work with the fire district and the TDC to improve communication of the current beach conditions and flag status with the increased shoulder season tourism, so that we can expand the time frame of when the beach flags are being displayed.
Got a motion, have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none? Keep going, guys. Ayes have it, so moved.
That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Just wanted to say, I think Michael's gone, but just wanted to say thanks for everybody in Public Works getting the harbor pump going. Just creates better water quality. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you, sir. A couple of things. The upcoming vision session, are we going to be having our discussions with that individual before the meeting, visiting session? The gentleman that sits with us to discuss our vision individually?
So at this point in time, the gentleman who has been doing this for us is no longer available. So we are working on bringing someone else in to do that. And if we secure them, then yes, absolutely. If not, then staff will facilitate this and we will meet with each council member individually ourselves.
Okay. I'd ask, and if we need a motion, I can. If we don't meet with the individuals, or if we try to meet with the individuals and some people aren't available, at the next meeting to prepare to us and the public what to be prepared for at that visioning session. So if somebody's not available to meet, they're coming into the meeting ready to make it worthwhile meeting. I mean, I assume that'll be okay to do. Is that any motion for that, or just to come to the next meeting, I guess, and have preparation for what to expect at the visioning session meeting as council members if we don't have a chance to meet with you one-on-one?
We will do it at least by the next meeting, if not before, during your individual sessions.
Okay. On that note, I would say to myself and others, this has been 1 year, roughly, a little over a year for some of the new guys. And I did know what we were going into that visioning session meeting last year pretty well, but still fresh and still new, and now here we are a year later, and I'm a little bit more educated, and I feel like I know a little bit more. But we're talking about, and this is for the public as well, and to remind each of us to contact as many people that we can, our age and y'all's ages and everybody in between, about the visioning session, about the goals and what we want for the future of the city. And I think at last session I experienced a lot of, well, that will probably cost a lot of money. That'll cost money to do that, things like that. That shouldn't be a hindrance to stop us for things we want to do for our kids and our grandkids and residents. It shouldn't be. Well, of course it can be, but if we were to say that, why are we buying millions of dollars of beach property for mainly the tourists to come use? Why are we doing the things that we are doing? So I encourage to get out as much as possible to discuss with, and I'm talking to myself as well. I'm not everybody, this is me. We have things that we need for our priority one people of our city, which is the residents of the city of Destin. And I think at that last visioning session, some of the longer-term things might have not gotten as much weight because of the scale. I mean, the old-time pottery, I'm excited about the discussion about that. That's fantastic. But at that visioning session, whatever comes between now and then, if anything, I hope we can talk about it more because we need things. And so I just, again, would encourage myself and others to talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to your families about the vision. We talked about the neighborhood development. Sure, was it money? He already had this many, now he wants that many. You know, could he do it? Sure, he could do it, but we told him tonight he can't. You know, recently we did townhomes. You know, there's all these things about, like Mr. Destin has said before, about our densities and residential uses and zoning that we got to fix. And I know it's on our list over the past year to work on these zoning things, but I think it's time to make it more of a priority very quickly, or we're going to be in the same situation with the townhomes and everything else. So again, I just want to put heavy weight to the public and anybody on that visioning session. It's open to the public, and I would love to hear from everybody about their vision as well for the city. So please, as well as we have a flood workshop that we spent staff's time and effort and energy to prepare, I think, an ordinance previously, the flood ordinance, that we tabled it for one reason or another with no public here even complaining about it. And so I really hope that the flood workshop that we have will be beneficial of all of our time and their time, because it's an additional thing that everyone has to do. And, you know, I just want to recommend again to everybody online or whoever, if you have an issue with the flooding changes, come to the workshop, please. I hope to see everyone there. Or talk to us before. Email us, please. That's all I have, sir. Happy New Year, and I'm glad to be here.
Happy New Year. All right, I've got two items, and I'm gonna do number 2 first, because number 1 may require a little bit more discussion. Basically, Aqua Alert pilot program. And I'm throwing this up against the wall to just put it on the radar. Last spring, Judy Shintz, her husband was, they were snowbirds from Minnesota. He was a real active kayaker, and they'd been coming here for 5 or 6 years, and he'd been kayaking a lot, you know, even back home. But unfortunately, a tragedy ensued, and he was lost. They don't know if he was lost in the bay or in the Gulf. By the time they realized he was late, and they put the pom-pom-pom out on the Coast Guard, and the FWC got involved. It was already dark, and it was foggy, real foggy that day. And so even though it's been a tragedy, she really wanted to take this and turn it into a positive. And so she contacted me, and she's been talking with Everbridge, which is the organization in the state of Florida that does the Amber and Silver alerts. She's got their support. She's talked with the U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary, talking about a program to get eyes on the water outside of the normal marine traffic that might monitor 16, which most guys do not. Or 71, BSing on the channel. So basically, the idea behind it is to provide, this is going to be a pilot program just for Okaloosa County, and so what Everbridge is seeking, because they're a state organization, is a resolution from the city council supporting a pilot project just in Okaloosa County. And so I wanted to put that bug in your ear, because what we're going to do is I'm going to have staff help write a resolution language, and we'll have a presentation where Judy's going to come here and speak about her dreams of how she'd like this to have. We'll have a representative from the Coast Guard here and for Everbridge, and then at that time we'll actually make a motion and pass a resolution.
So Aqua Alert is about the water, and then the pilot program, meaning it's a one.
Well, that's what we're going to call the pilot program, is just Aqua Alert. And it's going to be to where, you know, it's going to be various levels One is people can actually work with the Coast Guard Auxiliary and sign up, kayakers and boaters and stuff, and say, hey, I'd like to receive a little training on what a search and rescue operation would be like, who we need to call, how we can participate. Another portion of it is safety training or safety inspection, so people can bring their kayaks or their small boats and have Coast Guard guys look at it and say, you really ought to have a spot GPS thing here, waterproof things, stuff like that. So, and Everbridge is pretty excited about it because if this works well, and the FWC and the Coast Guard will only be they'll be the ones that'll activate this alert. It won't be just some mom or kid who come back from fishing, out on his kayak, calling for an aqua alert. So it'll be regimented. But I just wanted to let you know that I've been having these discussions, and that I'd like for our staff to put together some resolution language. And then before I ask for you guys to vote on and support that resolution language, we'll get a formal presentation by them. So that's what we're going to do on the aqua alert. All right, so that's just no action taken. I just kind of give you all the heads up on the discussion that we've been having. Now, it's time to follow up on the city manager evaluation process. And basically, all our staff members have gotten, over the last 2 years, their 3% cost of living increase. And our city manager, I feel like has done a very good job, and he's been kind of left out in the breeze, and we're kind of 2 years behind that evaluation process as we've had these discussions of what our timing is, and we should have started this back in August, and we didn't. So what I'm going to do now is you all got the documentation, cost comparison with what other city managers are making in other communities and stuff like that. So what I'm going to fish for tonight is a motion be made to address Lance's financial benefits kind of in arrears. And then in August, when we're supposed to do this evaluation process in 2022, we do it then. I don't think it's fair to him that we delay it another 8 or 9 months because we're already 2 years behind. We're evaluating and then deciding if he gets a raise, or God forbid for him if we decide to not pay him as much. But I mean, hey, anything can happen around here, right? But in all seriousness, so I'd like to entertain a motion. I know you all have had time to talk with Lance about this, and you've had the documentation that was in our briefing materials and a couple emails. So I entertain a motion right now, and we'll go ahead and try to deal with this now, and then we'll move forward in the regular process in August from that point forward. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I make a motion, I want to establish a couple of facts. First, I want to thank the staff, Webb or Nicole, whoever sent us, the cities, the salaries. Then you sent us the people that they manage, which is a relevant number, and the population of those cities, which is also a relevant number. But I want to establish a couple of other facts just for my clarity. My understanding is that the city manager has gotten the cost of living allowance, that all the staff got the cost of living allowance for the last 3 years. Is that correct, Nicole?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, but that each of the city staff were eligible for up to 2% each of those 3 years for a performance raise, or whatever we call it in this. We call it a performance raise in my business because it's based on their performance, which I think that's what y'all call it. But
That is also correct based on the score of their evaluation.
okay, so basically he's missed out on up to 2% for 3 years running. My understanding also is that his vehicle allowance, which the council who was in place when he was hired approved a monthly vehicle allowance, I believe of $400 a month, which is, my memory is the same thing Greg was making the first time we hired him for his monthly, because he got that brand new F-150 and I was a little jealous. But I'm sorry, that was sad. Is that correct also, Nicole?
To the best of my knowledge, yes, that has not been addressed.
Okay. So, Mr. Mayor, for a point of discussion, I'll make a motion that we authorize the city manager to get a 5% increase in his base salary, and we increase his monthly vehicle allowance from $400 to $500 per month, effective 1 January 2022.
All right, I have a motion.
A second.
I have a second. This will open up for discussion. First up, Mr. Schmidt.
Not much, I guess, to say. I was gonna throw something out there, but I understand that we've talked about it before, that at any meeting we could just do what we're doing right now, and I understand that's why it's being done. But, you know, the email we received last week, you know, in the middle of the holiday was not much behind it. There's nothing on the agenda, and I understand it doesn't have to be. And so I guess my first question is do we need to make a motion to put this on the agenda to actually do it?
No, it's actually on the agenda.
Well, it says follow up to city manager evaluation process underneath your name.
Huh? What? No, that's a good question.
I'll
It's not one
gladly
I'm
make
gonna-
that motion, and I understand it has to have a supermajority to be added to the agenda to specifically address the raise, because it's, the way it's worded, we could have had people come here and go, well, they're going to try to give that city manager a raise. I got that. I will make the motion that the city council consider increasing the compensation for the city manager for the year 2022 be added to the agenda.
Second.
I got a motion, I have a second.
And I'll just add, Mr. Bagman, the reason why I'm saying that is just to be a little bit more prepared and educated about, to have questions and discussions with our staff about this particular item. And that's, you know, what was missing for me. I mentioned that in just in
But
December
we've been
as well.
having this discussion
No,
for
we
2
really haven't been
months.
having this discussion. Unfortunately, I disagree.
No?
We have
Yes?
not, but
It's pretty clear that
we
the
have not.
agenda item does not explain that we're prepared.
No, so that's my only issue.
But if we have to move for it, then that's doable.
And I'll even put a substitute motion to add it to the first meeting in February instead of tonight. Or second, or next meeting, so it gives me more time to review and discuss.
I understand what you're saying, Kevin. I guess what I would say to that is I, again, fall between you and the mayor. We've been talking about this for 3 months. We put a timeline together that said, going forward, we're going to talk about his raises going to be incorporated into the budget development process. So
Then why didn't
if
you
you're
put it on the- why didn't you
surprised
put it
that
on the
we're talking
agenda?
about giving him a raise tonight, I
So why didn't you put it on
apologize.
the agenda then?
I didn't. The mayor did.
I just would have been more prepared.
Yeah. I mean, that, when I got the email from the staff and said, here's all the city manager's salaries, here's the number of staff they manage, here's the population of the cities that they manage, it pretty much told me we weren't going to talk about, you know, the length of his hair, I guess.
Yeah,
That's probably not
It was
fair.
2 days before New Year's Eve, holiday, and for everything you say, I can continue saying too. I'm not I'm not agreeing with not doing an increase. I just want to have more time. Whether it's 2 weeks, I don't care, but,
Well,
you know,
I
that's
just
just my
want
thoughts.
I just want everyone to be clear that I didn't put this on the agenda. This was asked if it would go on the agenda under my name because it was time to tidy this thing up.
Here's what I'll do. Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a substitute motion. I'm going to move that staff put underneath my name for the next meeting a motion to increase the city manager's salary effective 1 January 2022 by 5% and his monthly car allowance by $100. And if I get a second for that, we'll vote on that and we'll discuss
second
this next 2 weeks from now.
All right. Up first is Mr. Bragg. Go ahead.
No, I heard 2% for 2 years, and then you said want to increase it to a total of 5%. How did you come?
So
two
comp-
and 2 is 4. Why'd you go to 5?
Okay, 3 years, 2%.
Okay.
2% compounded over 3 years. So remember, when you get that second year's 2% raise, that's on top of the 2%. So actually, that third year would be, it's not just a 2%, it's not additive, it is,
It's increased.
yeah, no, but there's a word. Anyway, so what I did was, that's not the full 6% that he could have gotten. And I haven't been here for the last 3 years. I mean, I've watched him, I've obviously known him since he was the parks director. But he seems to be doing an okay job because he's lasted longer than the last couple, so. That was probably my, well, that was probably my outside voice, I'm sorry, but.
And don't bring him down, would you?
Yeah, that's how I got to 5%. I wasn't comfortable going to full 6%, but if you want to make it 6%, or you want to actually do 2% on top of 2% on top of 2%, which comes out to about, I think, 7%, I'll support that. I'll support whatever the council supports, but I think 5% is a good starting, I think it's fair, because our staff's a little bit smaller, you know, our city's different, but I thought 5% was fair, and I thought that was a good place to start the discussion. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Answers my question. My only concern is, I know we're still doing a study or something to find out, to get the entire staff pay up to speed. Does that mean when we find out that the guy cutting the grass, he's making $11 an hour, he should be making 16? Does that mean we're going to go ahead and back pay him since he was hired? I mean,
Well-
we're back paying the city manager back 3 years, aren't we?
No. Effective 1 January 2022.
We're going to give him a 6% increase.
Right.
5%
yeah.
increase.
Right.
And you got the 5% from this year? Or the
Yeah.
last 3 years?
From the last 3 years.
So we're back paying him.
No, because if we were back paying, we would back pay him 2% for 3 years ago, everything he made, plus we'd pay him 4%, or actually a little bit over 4%, for what he made 2 years ago, and then so no, it's not retroactive, I guess. I can show this to you if I had my little
Right.
white paper and board and
Right.
my.
Okay.
We're just giving him he's proposing the city manager get a raise.
Yeah, okay.
That's
I'm glad we got more time.
Right.
So, you need, go ahead.
I think what the confusion is that we're talking about getting Lance caught up from what he's been missing. Because out of us not having a valuation the last couple of years.
All this is seeing if we want to give him a raise for starting January 1. That's all it is. So, but now we've done it in an official manner with an official motion, with a second. We've had discussion. Okay, didn't see you. Go ahead.
I was just going to observe that the comparisons we were all emailed were not apples to apples. Both cities had police departments, fire departments, public utility departments.
They made a distinction between the ones that had that and the ones that didn't. One thing they didn't have on those sheets was the fact that this guy's running a city of 14,000 for about 5 months. Then he's running a city of 150,000 for 7 months.
As do other resort towns. Be that as it may, Mayor, I don't have a problem with, I think, what Jim is proposing. 5% of the salary is about 6,000 or so.
7,000.
Plus $100 more a month is 1,200, so we're at 7,000 or 8,000, which I don't have a terrible problem with that, and so I will support the substitute. But I would point out that the 2% that you don't get, or it didn't get, it's not a matter of depriving them. You give that for merit.
Right.
And we have never had those discussions over the last 3 years.
We will next August.
Yeah, well, maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Well, no, we can still have the discussion,
Yep.
just might not give it to him.
But I don't have a problem with the amount that's being proposed. So, I'll support the motion, but the comparison we got on New Year's Eve or whatever, those comparisons really are not worth the paper they're written on. because the situations are different in all those cities.
You got to base your decision on something. So I guess we got plenty of time to figure that out, right? All right. We have a motion. We have a second. We're going to take a vote. Ayes have it, so moved. Soon, you may or you may not get a raise. All right, just hang in there, sir.
Thank you, Council, Mr. Mayor. I do want to let you all know that I will not be at the next meeting because I will be at Walt Disney World with my 6-year-old daughter. So.
All right, be kind to the guy. Hey, so that's all I got, and then we got land use attorney, the city attorney, and then a final public comment. Kim, do you have anything?
No, thank you.
Kyle?
Nothing.
All right, public comment. Anyone want to step up to the plate? Meeting adjourned.